Well, it's almost Artemis launch time. Again, as Bill Murray once said. But hey, guess what? April Fools is maybe the launch date? Roll the intro.
And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equalize.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers fly!
Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No.
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Good afternoon/evening, and welcome everybody to the Flame Trench. This is our weekly news show where we go over all of the exciting things happening in the world of spaceflight that us hosts find interesting, and then we talk about them for 5 minutes before going totally off the rails on each subject. I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. I will be your host for this episode of the Flame Trench. Good to be back after my freezer decided to stop working last week an hour before the show, which is why I wasn't there last week. But I am back, and of course, I am joined by a competent cohort of co-hosts with me. Starting off, who do we have in the box next to me? We have EJ Sa. How's it going, EJ?
Hey, nobody keeps EJ in the box, all right? I'm sorry. I'm good. I'm good. Great. How are you? Chad, how are you guys doing? How's everybody doing? Everybody doing good? Sweet. Excellent.
In the
Great.
words of Tony the Tiger, they're great.
Great.
And then if we switch to the next box, also joining me is Max Evans. How's it going?
Are you my right shoulder? You are my right shoulder. Oh, not anymore. Dang it, Jay.
Yeah, see, no, I knew which way to look. I even knew which box to look at.
Oh, hey, there you go. Hey, sorry, how's it going?
Hey.
How's it going, everybody? Yeah, it has been a busy week per usual. We have some new stuff to talk about, and it's kind of refreshing, but also some more updates regarding Artemis, because we are, as Sawyer was talking about in the intro, are coming up on the next Artemis 2 launch window, which NASA is very keen on launching it, but more on that later.
Actually, more on that very, very soon. But of course, I also have to welcome the other person joining us. I don't even know which direction this box is going to be in. We also have Ryan Weber joining in. How's it going?
Dang it, I missed. I was trying to get the guess the right one. But hi, everyone. How's it going?
The Brady
Right.
Bunch.
Anyway. Here to talk Starship when we get there, because as you know, it's been an exciting time with Starship recently. You know, Booster 19, so can't wait for that.
What do you mean nothing has been happening at all with
No,
Block
nothing.
3 Starship at all, right?
Mm-mm.
Nothing.
Nothing
Nope.
with HLS either. Nothing.
Nothing.
Well,
Nothing with
Yeah.
Artemis either. Nothing. No, stop
Nothing
it.
at all.
Stop
Nope.
it, Jay. Stop, Jay. I see you in the back channel. Stop it right now. Stop it.
Stop it.
and
Get some help.
yeah, Jay Keegan's the one pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, and producing today's broadcast. Well, apparently, if there's nothing Artemis and nothing related to Starship, thank you for joining us for the... No, I'm kidding.
Bye.
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 Hi, bye.
So, as a reminder, if you have any questions, you can tag us at NASA Spaceflight or at NSF. We'll do our best to answer as many of your questions as we can. We just ask that you please try and keep the questions related to the topic that we are discussing. We will get to Starship. I promise you, we will get to Starship. We will have a lot to say about Starship. But save it till the Starship section, please.
Well,
Thanks.
we don't have a lot to say about Starship. We have a lot to say about Super Heavy.
Which
Yeah.
is
Are
part
we
of
really going to do this?
Starship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
V3BN1.
No.
Stop.
No, we
No.
don't need to talk, we don't need
No.
to talk about
See?
that. part.
No.
Yeah, we don't need to do that.
No.
I don't want to do
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Anyway.
Moving on. So, let's kick things off here, of course, with, as we pointed out in the intro there, and as we've been doing for the last couple months, basically, and as you can tell by all of the moon-themed graphics from this year, Artemis is the big key story here. And Max, you were inside the briefing room yesterday when they gave an update after the flight readiness review. So what do we got?
So, in terms of the flight readiness review, which was conducted yesterday, on top of the presser, which took place afterwards, essentially the whole gist of it is teams have all pulled go, and Artemis 2 and NSLS are scheduled to roll out of the vehicle assembly building on March 19th, so a week from yesterday. So, clocks is already ticking. And they have formally stated that April 1st is going to be their first targeted launch window, which is very exciting because, of course, for us who have been saying it for a long time, it is a daytime window. But also, interestingly, the launch window was originally, if I'm reading this correctly, was April 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and the 30th. But they had since added to the launch window, according to Lori Glaze, April 2nd, with a window opening of 7:22 p.m. local time here on the east coast of Florida. So the window's gotten a little bit bigger, and we have one more daytime launch window in there as well. So all seems good on that front, as you can see from the graphic now on your screen, displaying all of the launch windows from the 1st to the 6th and the 30th of April. But where things get interesting is when the experts on the panel were asked whether they were going to be conducting any sort of like wet dress or confidence or partial tanking test, about mostly concerning about the ICPS seal that was replaced, and then also the LH2 TSM seal, which is what was leaking during the first wet dress rehearsal attempt. They are not going to conduct any further tanking tests of the vehicle. And the next time that they do, and they were very keen on this, as Lori Glaze was keen to point out, the next time that they want to fuel the rocket is for when there is an attempt to launch it. So they are focused on April, as she has said more than once. And when asked about any potential launch windows in May or June, which there likely is worked out somewhere but not publicized, she would not elaborate. And she was said, we are focused on April, which is. I don't want to say. I mean, it is a little bit eyebrow raising because, again, the vehicle isn't even at the pad, but the flight readiness review has pulled that all systems are go, and everything that they had to replace and repair from what happened during the wet dress rehearsal take 2 is not going to be tested before flight, which is kind of concerning. I'm not sure how you guys feel about that, but this is a this is okay. This is I was a bit concerned there for a second. This is just a replay of our live coverage. So essentially they are not going to be conducting any sort of test on the vehicle until it is at the pad and they are poised for launch, which again is currently targeted for April 1st at I had the graphic up here. Hang on, what is it? 6:24 p.m. local time for window opening, which lasts about 2 hours. I know EJ and Sawyer have a lot to say, and maybe Ryan does as well, but a certain SLS program manager named John Honeycutt had a lot to say about risk management during yesterday's press conference. And I know what he said. I know you guys know what he said, but I want to hear your guys' takes on it first when he was first pressed about any sort of risk assessment number for Artemis 2, because the recent OIG report just came out stating risks for Artemis 3 and those related, but not Artemis 2. And there was a number stated, and I want to know what you guys have to say about it and how that information was presented.
Sawyer, you want to go off first, or do you want me to?
Oh man, I mean, it was definitely a showstopper of a question, and every single question after that was just nonstop about the number, which, if you know, basically for all of the programs, there's a kind of, I don't want to say a confidence number, but a risk of either loss of mission or loss of crew, which are considered two separate things. And so for shuttle, it ended up being 1 in 72, although they'd originally thought 1 in 100 later in the program. It was different earlier on in the program. So it's a crazy number. The number that they gave here was 1 in 2, but there's a caveat to that. I think we should listen before we describe our thoughts on this and before I go into more detail. Let's listen to the original response from Mr. Honeycutt.
The other dates away, we have 6 potential dates.
Hey, Bill Harwood.
Hi, Bill Harwood, CBS News. Since virtually all of you mentioned the risk analysis for this mission, the OIG last week put a report out that put the risk of lunar operations at 1 in 40 and the risk of lunar mission from start to finish at 1 in 40, or 1 in 30, I'm sorry. Is there a probabilistic risk assessment for Artemis 2? What are the numbers? Since you're talking about assessing the risk, you've got to have some way to do that. So is there a number to put on this flight in terms of what you consider acceptable risk?
Do you want to take that one, John?
Yeah, so Bill, we've grappled with this overall number for a while. What I would say is we understand the risk associated with the individual components, the subsystems, and then the overall systems. I think I talked at the end of Artemis 1 relative to, new rockets. It's a 1 in 2 chance to make it, right? So I think we're looking at this kind of qualitatively, like, I've done a lot of thinking and a lot of reading about, okay, what does that mean for us for Artemis 2? And, there's a lot of variables there, right? And it really depends on how quickly you get back into flying, right? And so, one of the variables is we've got such a gap between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2, and you don't have that cadence, kind of like we had in shuttle, where we fly sometimes 4 or 5 times a year, right? So Lori and I have talked about this a lot, and so the numbers would tell you just kind of qualitatively that, it's probably a 1 in 50 would be a good number if you were really getting after it and had a good cadence on a second or a third time. But with this gap that we got, it's probably not 1 in 50. It's probably not 1 in 2, but it's probably, like, and I'm quoting Lori on this, it's and I believe it too. It's probably closer to 1 in 2. And that's. Well, that basically means we're probably not 1 in 50 on the mission going exactly like we want to, but we're probably not 1 in 2 like we were on the first flight. That's what I would tell you. I think we're being really careful not to really lay probabilistic numbers on the table for this mission, just given the small amount of data. You say anything you don't agree with there, you want to add?
Alex now has competition. So, so it's not 1 in 2, but I would say it's 1 in 2, about 1 in 2. So I guess the number's 1 in 2, because I know people were saying, wait, he never said 1 in 2. There's your answer at the end. So that raised a lot of eyebrows. And so it's like, is it a coin flip that the mission's going to succeed? I think, EJ, now I'll let you go into your response. I just wanted to make sure that we got the basic context of it first.
Honestly, it seemed like that was something that was hard for people to grasp. All right. So, guys, it's going to sound funny, but this isn't rocket science. If he said that they're going to let the individual components drive the risk, right? If you had to put an array on probabilistic loss of crew, on the very end, on the very lower end, it's 1 in 2 because you've launched one SLS and this is your second SLS. So if you want to really, probabilistic cause is determined. Like, I mean, if you're a stat nerd, you know that a vehicle with thousands, hundreds of thousands of components is going to, if you want to try to compound the failure rate of all those components together and then make an array of data based off of that and determine cause of loss, like probabilistic cause of loss of crew. I mean, yeah, if you're a stat nerd, you know, but I mean, John said, like, on the lower end, they've launched one rocket. This is the second one, so it's 1 and 2. But it's not it's not that. That's not it at all. If he had to put a thing on the lower end of chancing a flight, that would be the low end, because they've launched one SLS, and this is the second SLS. So you have 2 rockets. One of them worked. The other one remains to be seen. This isn't hard. Apparently, people have selective hearing. That's not hard to understand, right? But the 1 in 50 is based off of the shuttle flight heritage, which makes a lot of sense. So it's not 1 in 2, but it's not 1 in 50 either. But I think the first thing that he said in response to that question is they're not getting hung up on the numbers. You don't want to get hung up sitting there and analyzing safety this way. That is not a good way to to kind of prove your flight rationale here. You let the individual components talk to you and look at, he said basically they're not looking at it that way. I think everybody missed that. He just said it real quick right at the beginning. And I think, to be honest, just on a side note, he said one of 2, and it was at this moment that he knew he screwed up. Like, I think he realized that he was like, oh no.
He even said himself afterwards that he was had a very interesting day of reading following the press conference, based on what he said. Yeah. Because while,
you know what,
go ahead,
Max.
No,
I'll say it in a second. All right. I'll go. Like, guys, I'll be 100% honest with you. I appreciate John's candor here. I really do. It sucks that people are going to run away with this and be like, well, NASA says that there's a 1 in 50 chance of the crew blowing up. Like, someone's going to write that article. Of course. Yeah, he knew it. He knew it right after he said it. But I'll be honest, and I'm just speaking as somebody that likes, we like to follow the space program. I'd prefer NASA be real like that. I really, even if like cursing is warranted, he was.
Yeah.
It's getting a little hung up a little later in that press conference, right? But you know what? Out of all the press readings that John Honeycutt, if he's going to go read it, if he ever sees this, dude, we appreciate it. We appreciate you being real. Tell us where your mind's at. I appreciate the honesty and I appreciate the candor. Like, that shows that you care. That shows that you care about this mission a lot, right? Like, you wouldn't sit there and be like, oh, I screwed up those words. No. He sat there and he talked through it, and he talked through the numbers. They make perfect sense if you're going to determine your launch cadence via that. But I think the overall point that he was getting at, dudes, is that they got to launch SLS more.
Yep.
You want to make it safer, launch it more. And you know what? I agree with him. That's right. That's absolutely right.
But he also made the point clear that it's tough to do that and tough to raise your margin of safety and increase your odds of success when you fly once in 3 years and not as often as they did with shuttle, which is once every like 4 or 5 times a year sometimes, right? So I think it's very easy to take that 1 and 2 number out of proportion, but in reality, that number is based on the mission succeeding as originally architected. That's not taking into account any small failures, like even including like the freaking toilet not going right, them not being able to do some sort of experiment or not follow the exact timeline. So it's very easy to take that number and blow it out of proportion, as some people might. And it's easy to do that. But let's not forget that if we rewind to the early days of the space shuttle program, like looking back with a pair, I guess, like hindsight's 2020, right? The odds of failure, lest we forget, for the first 25 shuttle flights, I believe, was around 1 in 9 or 1 in 10. That's not great. Like, that is incredibly dangerous for a brand new vehicle that is flying for the first time with people on it from the very beginning. I think we've become so risk adverse that we hear a number like 1 in 40, 1 in 50, and think, oh, like that's not safe enough. It's like that's just part of the risk you have to accept when coming into a field like this with a vehicle as new, despite the despite SLS having a lot of flight proven hardware on it, it's all built in a brand new configuration, and this is the first time that we're putting people on it. So I like EJ was saying, I appreciate John's candor there, and just him being able to be candid about the whole conversation. I mean, you could tell he was getting kind of like, you'll see in clip 2 and clip 3 coming up, but he got kind of, I don't think flustered is the right word, but you can tell like this question definitely got under his skin because it came up so much.
He knew they were going to twist his words, man.
Yeah. Well,
Like, he said it. He said, he's like, I don't want anybody twisting my words. He said that verbatim.
He did. Yep.
He said that like verbatim.
I
He's
think
like,
that's
I know
actually
people are
how
gonna
clip
twist-
that's how clip number 2 actually starts out with his answer. I think if Jay is ready to play it, I think we can listen to that.
He's not ready yet because
He's
I
not-
still want to give my response. Let me do that first, and then we'll get to the clip. Okay?
Yep.
I'm the host. I'm claiming host duties. Righting the ship. I won. Anyway.
Iceberg.
Dead ahead.
Do we steer it? I mean,
Right
it's
the
a flame
ship.
trench. We'll probably steer into it anyway. But
That's right. We run towards the chaos. Yes.
here's the thing. When we talk about these numbers, again, like I mentioned when I was leading into the clip, there are 2 different numbers, and Bill himself mentioned that in the question. There is loss of crew and loss of mission. Loss of crew is obviously that the crew is unable to make it back home successfully. Loss of mission just means that you cannot complete all mission objectives. Whether that means you stay in low Earth orbit and then, or in the highly eccentric orbit around the Earth and then come back down. Whether that means you don't do the on-orbit rendezvous proximity testing that you were going to do. Whether it means, again, you go around the moon and something happens and you can't take all the photos that you wanted to do, a camera breaks, whatever. We're talking totally different numbers here. So that's what also kind of needs to be taken into account. And I wish that he would have been able to clarify that a little bit more, because now people think that means that there's a 50-50 chance that this rocket is going to blow up with people on it. That is not what it means. And again, you talk about shuttle. Those early missions, I believe it was also around 1 and 2 for those first couple of shuttle flights before it eventually got to 1 and 9 and 1 and 10. And when you look at Columbia when it came back, it was missing a crud ton of tiles. It had little quirks and things that happened. It ran hot on launch even, so it kind of overperformed what they expected on that. So there was a lot of things where, sure, it didn't go perfect, but it was the first ever flight and the crew came back alive. So even if it was not a fully successful in every sense, the crew came back alive, and that should be the key here.
So, like, that's the thing. And I know we want to see the clip. Like, you're talking about STS-1, dude. Even the post-launch press conference, like, this is what I mean about NASA being candid about things. Like, the press went after Gene Kranz after STS-1, after the first mission, or after the first ascent, and they were like, "Oh, the tiles. What about the tiles?" He's like, "There's nothing wrong with the tiles. There's nothing wrong with the tiles." They're like, "How do you know?" He's like, "I'm Gene Kranz. That's how I know." Like, there's nothing wrong with the tiles. Like, dude, I appreciate the candor. I appreciate the candor from watching those historical context or those historical conferences, and I appreciate it now. I'd much rather that you be straightforward and be real. It shows you care instead of being like, "Well, we're the Starliner definitely isn't stranded. We're doing just fine." It's like, no, you're not.
God.
Just say it. Like, just say it. Like, yo, we got to fix this. Like, acknowledge it and move on. I'd prefer you to be real, because the second you start like doing stuff like that and trying to well, like, yeah, nothing's wrong, everything's fine, like you're gonna, it's like Death of a Salesman. You guys ever read that book? It's like you're just gonna lure yourself into a false sense of security and then something bad's gonna happen, right? Like, I'd prefer real NASA. I want NASA to be real like that. I like it. I think it's really cool.
And you know what, EJ,
just say-
I also really appreciate the fact that the press was able to ask that question more and more to be able to really dig into what he actually said and give him a bigger opportunity to elaborate more on what he said and try and kind of dig him out of the hole that he kind of got himself in. So I think, obviously during later in the conference, I think that question came up 3 times, and then on the 4th, I think that who was leading the press conference was like, yeah, no, like we're done with that question. We've beaten that question to death at this point. So I appreciate them giving the press the opportunity to ask about it more than once and try and just get as much detail out of John as they possibly could. But
Good thing you didn't mention being a dead horse, because Chris is in chat with horse facts, saying there's a 1 in 2 chance a horse will slobber all over your hands in the hopes of food. So
Sure.
speaking of 1 in 2 chances.
Sure.
Also, never would have pinned you as the Death of a Salesman reader.
It's a good book.
DJ, just saying.
Willie Loman.
I know.
You
Just
guys
saying.
didn't
I
read
don't know
that?
why.
It's a good book.
Yes, of course. It's play as well. But anyway,
Yeah,
you were
play's,
saying
play's pretty good. The book's good too.
You were saying, Max, that he kept bringing it up in the other answers. Why don't we listen to the next answer after this? Because needless to say, like you pointed out, people were really pushing him on this.
Yep.
Thanks for taking the time to talk with us. Maybe just to clarify this, just to make sure that at least I'm fully understanding what you're saying. So the 1 and 2, is that essentially to say that there's a coin flip in the mission going fully successfully as architected? And then just secondarily, a quick follow-up. We saw the VAB be evacuated earlier today, and there was some talk of a loud bang. Can you clarify what exactly happened? Thanks.
Sean can get that in just a minute. So I don't want you walking out of here and saying that I said this mission's a 1 and 2, right? I'm saying if you look at the data over time, over the lifespan of just building new rockets, right? The data would show you that 1 out of 2 is successful. You're only successful 50% of the time. I think we're in a much better position than that. And the only way that I can put us in a better place than the 1 and 2 is do what we've done, right? Uncover all the risk and make sure we've done everything to buy down risk, give us options to work through challenges that we've got. And then at the end of the day, it's going to be what it's going to be. Now, I'm not being flippant about that, because these teams the individuals are ready to go fly. We have spent a lot of time working through our processes on the ground and in space and for landing and recovery. Teams are well practiced. There's probably not many scenarios that if things go fairly nominal that we don't understand. Norm and I talk about it a lot, where, we know we're going to get a curveball thrown at us. And so then we got to weigh our options and assess the risk at that point in time, and then we'll keep moving on.
Okay. That's what I mean about being real, dude. It's not you're not letting 1 and 2 drive your entire flight rationale here. You take each component as it comes and fix it and then work through it. Guys, I don't know about you. Maybe this is a little bit of a tangent, but it is the flame trench. Like, I understand the need to compound stat for probability of like loss of crew or probability of mission failure, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know, man. Once again, I'm not ignorant to statistics and stuff either. Like, I just think that John's right. You let your components talk to you. You fix it. You take ownership of what you're trying to do, fix the dang thing, and ensure you're buying down as much risk as possible. Like, this is not that if you're going to sit there and you're going to let safety analysis for probability of loss of crew drive your flight rationale, that's going to get somebody hurt. I like the way that he said that they're doing it right now. That it instilled a lot. This whole press conference instilled a lot more confidence in the mission for me. I don't know about you guys.
I mean,
Ryan has something to say?
Yeah,
Ryan?
sure. If I'm allowed. If I'm allowed to.
No, you're not.
say
Go away.
it.
No, yeah, go ahead.
No, take his box.
It's not Starship. Go away.
This is Orange Rocket.
Yeah. Do you like NASA?
There we go. Bye.
Oh, okay, I'm done. All right. Any new rocket always carries risks. Yes, this is only the second time they're launching SLS. Yeah, it's got shuttle heritage on it, but of course it's a new rocket. You can have all the heritage in the world, but when you recombine it to a new vehicle, there's always risks. and that's one thing he talks about is the 1 and 5, the 1 and 2 for new rockets. I mean, all new rockets carry risk, but the way NASA does things, the way they look at risk assessment, the way they weigh all the data that they have from all the testing that they do, um, they make sure that they can account for almost any issue that they could come up with. And as he even says, they're going to get a curveball thrown at them. Everyone does. There is always something that pops up that you're not going to see. You try to account for that. You try to put that in your risk assessment, but sometimes you can't account for it. But the point is NASA's doing everything possible, along with the crew that has agreed to fly on this flight, to go ahead with this. Do you think they wouldn't fly on this thing if they really thought it was that much of a risk? I know they're astronauts and I know they take risks, but do you really think they would do that?
You know,
Do you really think NASA would even fly it if it really was that bad?
I mean,
Right,
just
no,
a couple of quick examples of that, especially from the learnings of Artemis 1, was on liftoff, the overpressure was such, and the exhaust on the mobile launcher was such that the doors for the main elevator were completely blown off and blown in. So that those have been reinforced for Artemis 2 and beyond, and for future SLS launches. But also they have some white fins now in between the core stage and the very tops of the SRB nose cones, just to help improve airflow in that area, to make sure that through the transonic and through the max Q phases of flight, the airflow is a lot smoother in between those areas, and that there aren't any unwanted shock waves or air pressure buildups in that area that would increase stress on the connection joints between the SRBs on top and the core stage. But a couple of key examples. But this all being said, I think I don't want to say it's safe to assume, but like SLS is one of the rockets, despite as issue prone as it has been in like wet dress rehearsals and stuff. I have no doubt it's gonna fly just fine. Like just with Artemis, like the vehicle flew perfectly. I have no doubt in the vehicle in the vehicle and in terms of launch having any sort of issue. The biggest question mark, though, is Orion once they're in orbit and heading off to the moon and coming back, because that's entirely uncharted territory with there being crew on board, and also with the Eclipse system on board as well. So yeah, a whole bunch of different risks. Yeah, go ahead, Sawyer.
And I was going to say, first off, like you were talking about the risk, you saw the photo just now that Jay had up. The crew was there in the flight readiness review virtually.
Correct.
So they listened in, they heard all of that. And one thing also, you might remember Max, they did an event, I think it was towards the middle or end of last year, in the NASA Media Center with the crew, where we got to sit and ask them questions. And of course, one of the big questions was about the heat shield and if they were concerned or anything. And they flat out said themselves that we have talked with the engineers. We have gone over the risk for them. They have explained their rationales. They have explained why they believe it's safe, and we believe them. So that's why they feel safe flying on this rocket, even with the concerns with the heat shield. It's because they talked to the people outright. They gave them the reasons why to their faces, eye to eye, and they said, okay, I trust you. So I think that's the other key difference here is they're talking to these engineers and the people that work on this mission face to face, eye to eye, one-on-one, asking those difficult questions so that they can get on that rocket and say, I feel, it's always a non-zero chance, but I feel as safe as I can feel getting on board this flight.
Yeah, and that's a key point to bring up is it's always going to be a non-zero chance. Always, no matter what you do, even flying in a plane to get somewhere you want to go, driving your car, there's a non-zero chance something catastrophic could happen that could result in a whole bunch of bad news for you and others. It's the same carries over for just about any form of transportation in all forms of life, So, but rockets are a very niche and unique platform to have a risk assessment for crew being on board. So, but yeah, I have total confidence that the vehicle itself is going to be fine. But the big question mark again is when when Orion separates from the ICPS and heads off to the moon. So that's what'll be the biggest pucker factor in my opinion.
And by the way, there's a question that Kabis brought up here that really brings up the question, because Artemis 1 basically went flawlessly. Keyword Basically, like you mentioned, it blew out the elevator doors and things on the mobile launcher. They're wondering, is Artemis 1 considered a failure due to the heat shield?
I was
So
gonna
are
bring that
they
up.
0 for 1?
No, because obviously the capsule made it back completely fine. They just saw a bit more erosion on the heat shield than they would have liked, which ate into the margin of safety which they had in place. That's why the whole safety that's why all of the question marks have come up regarding it. But they also said in the press conference yesterday that they said the heat shield is going to work just fine, and I have no reason to doubt that it won't, or that it will, I should say. So,
how do you know?
How do I know?
Yeah,
I'm confident that it'll be fine. I mean, you can never know for sure until it happens, obviously. But just based on NASA's confidence level in the vehicle, and also based on testing and what we saw in totality from Artemis 1, I'm confident it's going to go well. I shouldn't say I know it's going to go well. I'm very confident it's going to go well.
Yeah.
EJ, I'm interested then in your thoughts on that, because it's not perfect. It wasn't a perfect execution. The heat shield did not work as they expected it to. It worked, but not as expected. So does that count? Is that something that would tick off a box on that initial, risk or chance of a successful mission?
I think there is heightened risk with the Artemis 2 mission because of that heat shield. If that's a risk that people are willing to, well, if Jeremy, Christina, Reed, and Victor are willing to accept that risk, then let's go. Let's go, baby. Let's go to town. But Sawyer, I think, so you guys have been getting at something here. In Gene Kranz's book, Failure is Not an Option, right? He talks about known unknowns versus unknown unknowns, right?
Yep.
The second they go for that translunar injection burn on Artemis 2, you are into unknown unknowns. All right? Nobody's ever done this with an Orion doing this exact mission. The closest one would be like Apollo 8, right?
Yep.
But Apollo 8 was a completely different mission with completely different hardware. You're into the unknown unknowns. The key here is to buy down as many of those unknown unknowns and make them known unknowns. All right? That's how you develop flight rationale. My thing with the heat shield, and once again, I don't want to, I'm not trying to cast stones here. NASA most likely knows better than me. But I would want a full test of that heat shield. They said this flight trajectory is going to be fine. This flight trajectory for Orion is going to be fine. It's going to be fine because we analyzed it and we figured out that it was fine. Well, was that the same analyst that said the heat shield was going to be fine after Artemis 1? Yeah. What about that? So it wasn't. You had deviation in your engineering because of, analysis from that. Basically, it stems from low flight rate, right? You didn't fly a lot. You redesigned the heat shield after EFT1 to use blocked avcoat, right? And you thought it was going to work, and it didn't work. So what? You adjusted. Okay, so they adjusted their analysis based off of the charred and spalled heat shield coming back. And now keep in mind, guys, every heat shield does char and spall to an extent. It absolutely does. That's a thing. But this one charred and spalled. The key here is that this didn't char in the way that they thought it would. Okay, there's a phrase for that in engineering. It's called deviance of engineering. I'm sure everybody here, being a spaceflight fan, probably has some familiarity with that term, right?
Starliner.
Yes, right. So can you do analysis and change the trajectory based off of what you saw from the flight data and adjust your analysis and kind of extrapolate that the Artemis 2 reentry trajectory should be okay? Yeah, but at the end of the day, and Max, that's what I mean. You said it was going to work, and I didn't mean to call you out, but you said it was going to work, and now you're confident, and that's all NASA is confident here. But that heat shield and entry interface for Artemis 2 is still an unknown unknown, and it doesn't have to be. All right, it doesn't have to be. You could test another Orion capsule. You have a standardized Block 1 now. You don't have to send people now. I'm just saying. I mean, they probably will. That would be crazy to get rid of the mission at this point. But and this is what I mean. You're not buying down as much risk as you could by testing that heat shield again to validate it and validate that your analysis was correct and validate that it's not going to be deviant just because you change the flight trajectory. You know what I mean? So Sawyer, like, here's the thing. Will it be fine? Yeah. I mean, yeah, Max, you're probably right. It'll probably be fine. I don't.
Okay.
Listen to what I'm going to say. Probably is not going to get you very far in spaceflight. Probably, you know, there are probablys, right? Going out to the moon, probably. Going beyond low Earth orbit, they'll probably make it. Those are the unknown unknowns. This is an unknown unknown that could be a known unknown. But because of lack of flight hardware, this is what John Honeycutt was talking about, lack of flight hardware, low launch cadence, you are forced to take added risk with these missions and schedule pressure on top of that, because we got to go back to now we have 3 SLS flights to get, or 4 SLS flights to get done in the next 2 years, including this one. Right? So you're not buying down risk because of schedule pressure here. I'm pretty sure they've done that in the past and it hasn't worked. Right? Like, I'm not trying to cast stones. I don't want to put any bad juju out there, but also the heat shield will probably be fine. But that's the thing. You could be sure about this, and you're choosing not to be sure, 100% sure about it. You're like 90% sure. And, you know, 90 to 100%, that's, you know, some people are cool with that. If the astronauts are cool with that, let's send it. Let's go. Yeah. 90% sure is not good enough. That's a fail when it comes to spaceflight. If you get 90% of the way to orbit, that doesn't mean anything. You're still suborbital.
I get that, but also it's not like NASA is maintaining the same reentry profile with Orion like they did last time. Whereas last time they did a skip maneuver, which resulted in a lower overall temperatures but a lot longer exposure time for the heat shield. Whereas for Artemis 2, they have modified the reentry corridor to a more ballistic style, to where it's not skipping anymore and it's coming at a more direct angle, which will result in higher peak heating, but for a much shorter period of time, which they believe led to the higher erosion levels that they saw during the Artemis 1 reentry. So it's not like they are just saying, oh yeah, it'll be fine, and then keeping the same flight profile as last time. They actively made changes to ensure that Orion had better chances of coming home successfully with the desired safety margins in hand for the heat shield. So it's not like they're changing nothing. And while they didn't have the time to redesign it and rebuild the heat shield for Artemis 2, they have changed the flight profile to try and increase its chances of success. But it's also worth noting, though, that Alex brought up a very good point in the back channel, that they are not going to be able to test the heat shield to this extent like they would have for Artemis 2 and Artemis 1 on Artemis 3, because Artemis 3 is now going to LEO, which is going to be at much slower orbital speeds, or much lower velocities than compared to going to the moon. So heat shield is still a big question mark, but I would like to think
it's a question mark, but it doesn't have to be. You're letting your schedule drive your risk analysis here. And don't get me wrong, schedule does play a component into it. You know, that we got to, you know, it played a component during Apollo, right? We got to choose to go to the moon in this decade. It plays one now. We got to go there in 2028. But like I said, this is flight data is king with this stuff. And the way that NASA does their engineering is more like a final exam, as opposed to like SpaceX's like iterative design, you know, like, oh, if it blew up, man, it's not a big deal, right? This is more about getting your final exam right. In this case, you didn't get the grade that you wanted, right? And, you know, it's like, oh, well, the next one I'll get a better grade, even though I'm going to, you know, we'll change some things up and maybe we'll get a better grade. Like, that doesn't have to be that way. You know, if Jared's willing to change Artemis 3 to a low Earth orbit mission, and Max, I agree with you. I'm pretty sure he did that to buy down the risk on the heat shield, which will then be redesigned, because the Artemis 2 heat shield is the last of kind of their Block 1 Orion heat shields, because it sucks and it doesn't work for what NASA's trying to do. Okay, so you introduced another new heat shield design on Artemis 3. How are you going to be sure that's going to work? You're going to test that heat shield with people on it for the first time too. That carries more risk. And that's risk that could be bought down. It could be. Like, I'll just give you an example. Like, why don't we do another EFT-1 mission with New Glenn, or do another EFT-1 mission with Falcon Heavy, or anything out there? Vulcan, put it on Vulcan. You're making Centaur 5 work with Vulcan. They share common. You're making Centaur 5 work with Orion already. They share common avionics. Why not test the heat shield that way to improve flight cadence for Orion? Get more data. At least do a full validation test for your trajectories. Put it on a VC6. Send it to a medium Earth orbit, and then you have the SPS boosted up and do another EFT-1. Like, if we're willing to rock the boat, like with the B1S or the SLS B1S architecture, why not open up the door for Vulcan to launch this thing? It doesn't have to launch with people on it, just to get down, to buy down some risk. Isn't that what Jared Isaacman says he wants to do? There's so much unnecessary risk here. That's my big deal. Like, you want to risk the heat shield? The heat shield. In the wake of the shuttle program, you want to risk the heat shield. Okay.
I'm trying. Sure. I've been trying to lasso this in, but I'm from New Jersey. I don't know how to throw a lasso, so I've been missing every time. That's why I'm trying to reel it back in. And I also don't fish, so I couldn't reel it back in that way. Anyway, I know that you know about the unknown unknowns and the known unknowns, and I know that the unknowns are unknown, but I know where we're going with this. The one thing you pointed out was the fact about the schedule, and that they're on a schedule, and that they're talking about the schedule. Before we move on to the next topic, because I know we've been on this one for quite a while, I want to stray away from the 1 and 2 number and bring something else up. They were asked, so you have the April 1st, they were able to add in April 2nd without taking any other dates away, which now means we have 2 chances for a day launch, by the way.
Actually,
first window.
3, actually, but just 2 of them
in
are...
the first window. In the first window, I said. Listen, Max.
No.
I can tell. Anyway, with the other option being the 30th. But the question was, what about after the 30th? And NASA's response was, right now we are solely focused on this window.
Yeah.
They said that they've been planning it for a year, no later than April, and they're sticking with that. Is that a little bit concerning that they're not even willing to go out and say, hey, if we had to go to May, these are the dates. We are that committed to this April window here. Is that a little concern of some launchitis happening?
I mean, they kind of have to be super bullish on April, because they've been publicizing for like a year, if not, I think it's been about a year now, of them launching no later than April in 2026, and they're already at they're already targeting a launch window in April of 2026. So I think it'd be a really bad publicity day if they were to not launch in April and push toward May and June, and they're trying to drive as much attention away from those possible launch windows as they possibly can until they absolutely need to. I have no doubt that they have launch windows worked out for May and June. They're just not publicized, because you can launch at every month. There is a window to launch in every month, but that is entirely dictated by where the moon is and how long Orion would be eclipsed by the moon based on its location to the Earth. So yeah, that was actually one of the questions. One of the questions that I wanted to bring up between you, Sawyer, and EJ was: does this feel rushed? Almost feels like the wrong word here, but with them wanting to push ahead with no further tanking test or wet dress rehearsal after the repairs that they had to do in the VAB, between making sure that the LH2 TSM seal or tail surface mast seal was good. Then also having to conduct repairs and actually replacements of the ICPS umbilical entirely. And so they're not going to test those again before the first launch attempt to validate the seals. So this almost seems like they're just going to go for it and see what happens. As Lori Glaze put it, they have no intention of fueling the vehicle without there being a possibility of it flying. That was kind of my reaction, was just on that. Because I think they made it like it was a concern that the dynamic environment of rolling out and rolling back, and given the motions at play with the rocket there, because we've seen the rocket is shaking during that entire thing. It isn't stationary, and there isn't zero movement there. Every bit of movement pulls on those QD seals just a little bit and moves them around. And they said that the LH2 seal that they had after wet dress number 2 was the best they had ever seen. And now they're going to introduce 2 more motions with the mobile launcher to introduce more motion into it, and maybe increase the leak rate there beyond what was their threshold, which is 16%. And mind you, they saw, I think, 0.7 or 0.8% during fast fill, and then when they pressurized the LH2 tank in the last moments of the count during wet dress number 2, it spiked to only like 1.5, I think, at its highest, which is like next to nothing compared to leak rates that we have seen in the past. I don't know, guys. This kind of rubs me the wrong way with them not wanting to test it again once it's at the pad. I can certainly admire their optimism and their desire to push ahead for sure. But it's a little concerning to not test anything again before launch day. I don't know. I'm not sure how you guys feel about that.
I'm going to put mine in first, EJ, so before...
Yeah, you probably should.
I know where this was going to go. So,
I have thoughts.
I know you do.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. They have noticed a trend that when you roll it out back from the VAB, something happens. They go out to the pad, they fix it. Hey, it works again. So now they're rolling it back out from the VAB again, and they're just going to go for it. That part concerns me a little. At the same time, I don't think this is horrible, because the fact that they've added in the second, they've added in more days into the window. So they have the first all the way through the 6th now.
Yep.
If during that first attempt, the same thing happens, where they go for it and it starts to leak, they know exactly what the fix is, they know exactly how to fix it, and can get that done in a matter of a couple days, which would then clear up their next attempt, which, if it works just like the first time, then they can go all the way through the count. So I think, would it be nice to see the test beforehand for validation? Yes, but given the length of window that they have, as long as April 1st is the first date that they actually try to launch, I think they can still go within that window, and I don't think it's the end of the world that they don't do the testing right away.
Interesting.
Controversial, because I have a feeling EJ is going to say something different.
So just let me get this straight. You saying that added launch dates reduces the risk of them having to roll back again, Sawyer? Like that's just a...
Oh, I'm saying if they happen to notice the leakage again, like after the last one, they knew how to fix it out at the pad. They fixed it out at the pad, and the next time they did the wet dress rehearsal, everything worked flawlessly and better than it ever has on any other Artemis tanking test ever. So that's why I feel like they know what it is now. So if, or likely when, they realize the leak rate has gone up because of jostling or whatever normally happens during transit out to the pad, they know how to fix it, they know how long it takes to fix it, and they have the time within the window to do it. So it's a good way to get the dress rehearsal in there in a way, go through all the procedures, getting the crew out, getting the crew loaded, doing a full-on launch day procedure, and if it works that day, great. If not, you would then get extra practice and you have time in the window to still fix it and go and hopefully experience those 0.8% again instead of 16 plus.
Oh, man. I agree with you. Dang it.
Oh.
Dang it. No, I agree. Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. I mean, you could sit there and think about like it's risky just going for it right on the first launch. Now, I mean, Sawyer, another thing that I was going to mention, just to piggyback on what you said, when SLS, like cast your mind back to wet dress rehearsal 1. Wet dress rehearsal 1 didn't work. They had the problem with the seals. And then they tried to do that weird fueling test, and then they tried to say like, oh yeah, it's not a wet dress. We're not going to do that. We're not even going to have the closeout crew, go out there and do closeout crew things. And I was like, all right. And then they changed their mind and did a full wet dress rehearsal 2, and it went great, right? I said at the time, right? I don't know if I said it on a flame trench, but not having the closeout crew go out there and just do like that simple fueling test, right? And not like, why? What's it going to hurt having the closeout crew there and just doing a full another wet dress rehearsal? You got to keep, we did say this, practice test as you fly, practice lazy, play lazy, practice hard, play hard, right? I think that NASA was, so in that press conference, they were really like, okay, yeah, we're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. But yeah, dude, I think you're right. So say they go for it. All right. It doesn't work. Yeah. All right. You know exactly what you need to fix. You know how to fix it. You've done that already. You know exactly what needs to be fixed. Right. But also at the same time, if it works, right, and you have a perfectly successful, you have a perfect tanking test, everything's good to go, why not have the astronauts there? Why not have the astronauts suit up? So even if, say, it doesn't work, okay, good. The astronauts got some training on suit up and leak checks and going to the pad. It's just more practice for you, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But if it does work, boom, you got Jeremy, Reed, Christina, and Victor right there, ready to go.
Don't say boom. Don't say boom.
No, boom in the good way. The boom coming out the bottom, right? Not the sides. You don't want booms out the sides, right?
The good boom, like booster egijish.
Yeah, booster. I'm sorry, Daryl.
I love you, Daryl. I'm sorry.
Daryl watches NSF occasionally. We do like you, Daryl.
I'm sorry, man. Sorry. I you know what? I probably would have jumped the gun too if I was on. I probably would have been like Woody Woodpecker, like so.
You gotta admit, though, "We rise together, back to the moon and beyond" is a fantastic quote.
Yeah, that was really good. That's really
good.
It's
another intro.
Props for that.
Sawyer, in this particular scenario, I know I just said, like, oh, there's unknown unknowns or buying down risk. This seems like that, but I think this is a case where it's actually a pretty smart move. Worst case scenario, your astronauts and your closeout crew and everybody have more practice on how to do this right. And in this SLS construct of extremely low flight cadence, more practice is not going to hurt you. Yeah. Best case scenario, we get people out at the moon, right? Like, there you go.
And
it's
also,
actually that's a pretty acceptable risk in my mind, Max.
And that's more to take into account if they really do want to be able to turn around in 10 to 12 months, and that knowledge not being able to atrophy over 3 years like we have in between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2, right? So that's a lot. That's a lot less time for information skills in this muscle memory to atrophy over time and to make sure that your vehicle is ready to go. So I can see both sides of the equation here. I'm somewhere on the more cautious side with SLS, because while I'm all for just gung ho trying to go for it, we've seen how issue prone SLS has been on the pad before. I mean, we all can recall how Artemis 1 went and how many rollouts and rollbacks it had. But that's not how it's going to be every time, and I fully understand that, and I hope others do as well. But there's certainly a learning curve that you have to do, and it almost seemed to reset itself with how long of a period of time that there was in between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2. But as we often say, we'll have to wait and see what happens, because this could happen in as little as 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. So
yeah. And you're not alone on that thought, by the way. There is a poll. I just made you SLS manager. Would you wet dress the vehicle, at least an integrity partial load, or just send it? It'll be fine. It is currently neck and neck. Wet dress rehearsal at 37%, send it at 36%, and then 26% at partial load. So it is close. And a reminder, they did say in the briefing too that the closeout crew got to do a whole nother load of practice inside the VAB. In under 2.5 hours, they went out there and did that. And the other thing that just came to my mind, I may have to check that in a second, was how come this is okay for Starship? Starship, we always say, oh, if they don't go, then it was just a full-on wet dress rehearsal. Is it not the same thing here? If they don't launch, it's just a wet dress rehearsal.
There was a Ryan chuckle. I heard a Ryan chuckle.
I mean, it's true. Hey, remember when they decided, we haven't launched in a couple of months. We're just going to go ahead and fill this thing up without any tanking tests, not test the GSE at all. They blew a GSE line, changed it in about 12 hours. Then they didn't do a tanking test. They went for the launch and then launched.
Yeah.
Actually, that was a weather scrub and then they launched, but yeah. They treat it the same way. So.
I mean, yes, but also Starship is a much different class of launch vehicle right now, and back then it was still very experimental, and there of course wasn't crew on board, so they had the flexibility to do that and be more aggressive with their timelines, right? And not to mention the workforce out there in Starbase and just SpaceX in general are just beasts. It's like they will get anything done as fast as they can. I mean, we're seeing it now with Booster 19 being lifted off the launch mount this morning and placed down on the booster transport stand for what we believe are repairs of sorts, but more on that later. But yeah, I think two totally different programs, two different rockets, and obviously two different types of propellant involved as well, or three technically in the case of SLS with the SRBs. But yeah, it's not, the circumstances and the consequences aren't exactly the same, and SLS doesn't have the freedom of being able to only partially work like we saw with the first 3 or 4 flights of Starship as well, and also on flight 7, 8, and 9. So SLS can't do that. EJ?
Dude, okay, all right. I'm just gonna go out right and say it, and I know this is kind of boiling it down probably a lot more than I should, but it doesn't take another 3 years to launch a Starship.
True.
Sorry.
True.
Sorry. SpaceX gonna have a go and they're gonna have a problem, right? It's not gonna take another 3 years for one. Has there been a year gap between any Starship flights? More than a year gap?
If you count between the suborbital and the full stack flights, that's about the thing. But you also have to remember, there's a slight caveat in there. They didn't have a launch pad built.
Yeah, that's kind of
or a
important.
tested booster.
Yeah, you kind of need that.
They only had the upper stage tested, so it doesn't really count. The longest gap so far, I don't remember. It's like 7 months is what it was. It was between flight 1 and 2. That was your longest gap.
Was it 1 and 2, or was it 4 and 5?
It's the longest gap is 1
No,
and 2.
it was 1 and 2. You're right. Okay.
The second longest gap as of right now will be between 11 and 12.
That's sad.
It'll be the second longest gap.
That makes me very sad.
It's approaching 5. We're at about 5 months now.
So, Ryan,
let
me just ask you this. I know the answer to it. This is more just for the record here, right? So, how many times has Starship launched between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2?
11.
Yeah.
And it won't do the 12th launch won't happen for A2. I think A2 will still go.
I would agree with that.
No,
I think they'll make this window. I think they'll make this window, but that's 11 full stack launches of that. But you also have to remember, look at SLS as a rocket compared to Starship as a rocket. SLS can launch Orion, go to the moon, go around the moon, come back and return. Starship could probably go. The vehicles that launched in those 11 flights, if any of them made it into orbit, they might. I'll say this: they might have been able to come back. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they would have had the battery power to last long enough in orbit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to kind of look at the caveat there. It's like, yeah, they launched 11 times, but those rockets could not have done anywhere near what SLS could have done. Period. Like straight up. Period.
It's a much lower fidelity version
I think,
of the vehicle.
But also, Starship wasn't exactly trying to do the same thing either.
It wasn't
right?
trying to do it.
So there's that big caveat there. It's like, well, SLS got way farther and is operational. Yeah, it kind of has to be. Starship wasn't trying to do that with the first 11 flights. Not even close.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
And also the caveat of, it still kind of bugs me when somebody brings the caveat of, well, Starship hasn't made it to orbit.
Caveat.
Like, they very well could have. Like, it had more than enough propellant on board, and they had the engine power to do it. Like, they very well could have, but again, they intentionally chose not to do that.
Yeah, mainly because they weren't 100% certain how well an in-space burn with Raptor would work, and then if it doesn't work, you then have a 160-ton tumbling Starship possibly out of control, and you don't know where it's going to re-enter. That has to on one side.
Right.
Turks and Caicos, Caribbean. Yeah. What? Sorry.
Are you okay, EJ? You sound a little rough.
No. Sorry, I've had a bad day. Got rutitis.
Yeah,
rutitis.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But,
So
No,
I think
like guys, the reason why I bring that up, like, right, you guys are saying a lot of it, but the reason why I bring it up, like, I understand Starship's iterative and SLS is not. SLS is more final exam versus pop quizzes, right? Versus Starship's pop quizzes, like, but yeah, there's still risk, like, but also, the high flight cadence is buying down a lot of risk, and RE Starship versus SLS, right? And I think that's important to understand. You can't exactly compare, like, oh, well, Starship's flown 11 times, like, right? Like, it's flown 11 times in the time the SLS is taken. Like, that's a little bit disingenuous, just because the Starship flights are very much test flights, and the SLS Artemis 1 was a test flight, and that's it.
I mean, Artemis 2 is also a test flight.
I mean,
to be fair,
technically, this is a test flight too.
Artemis
but-
2 is also a test flight.
Yeah, even three is going to be a test flight now. It's going to be test flight of docking with HLS in low Earth orbit. I think the true first operational flight I would consider Artemis would be Artemis 4 when you land on the moon. That'll be the true first operational flight for that. And even then, that's also testing landing the lander on the moon for the first time. Apollo 11 was a test flight. Let's be honest here.
That's scary. Yeah.
Let's be honest. I mean, Apollo 12 was the only was like, oh, well, we've done it once.
It's the first time that there'll be.
Yeah.
It was Apollo 12. Apollo 12 was mostly a repeat of what Apollo 11 was, and then from there they evolved into longer stays, with the exception of Apollo 13. With Apollo 17 being the longest of them being on the surface of the moon. And what was it, like 3 days or something like that? 3 or 4 days off the top of my head for Apollo 17. EJ, do you know?
Apollo 17 spent 3 days on the moon. It
3
was
days.
part of the Apollo K missions, 15, 16, and 17.
Yeah.
Those are the missions with the uprated Saturn V, Apollo applications program on Apollo 15, the lunar roving vehicle, the rover they're driving around. But yeah, I mean, dude, even 12, I will say that 12 carried, you said it's like, oh, it's the same thing. Dude, 12 had slightly different test flight objectives, particularly in the applications of lunar descent. Apollo 11 was just get it down onto the surface.
Also,
Apollo
SCE to aux. Unintentionally.
Yeah.
1202.
A little bit of a pucker moment there. Let's just let me just make sure that my SCE
Oh,
switch
hey.
is-
Nice.
Yeah. All right.
Let's say wrong switch there. But.
Oh, sorry. It's main bus undervolt. So Apollo 12 actually was testing precision landing, and they landed next to Surveyor 3. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And like, you could say these Artemis are test flights, but the testing regimes for these are completely different things.
Also true.
Testing for Artemis is putting people on it now.
Yeah.
That is not something that Starship is going to approach anytime in the near future.
Like
with the
maybe
exception
in
of
a decade.
HLS.
Like actually launching people on Starship, we could really, really get into the weeds in this. I really don't think it's happening till the 2030s.
Let's
mid
save that for later, Ryan. Save that for later. Save that for later. Keep that in the chamber.
But yeah, we'll wait. We'll go back to you, EJ, later on that.
Back to you, EJ. Back to you, Ollie. What?
What?
No, yeah. I think we're getting into the weeds. We will talk more about what's going on with the Texas tank watching, guys. But I want to shift gears just a little bit. So we were talking about. I was just talking about like Starship with human rating. We don't think it's going to happen soon, but SpaceX. That doesn't mean that Starship won't have people on it because they have the HLS contract with the Artemis program, so the lander, them and Blue, right? So I wanted to kind of move over to the next segment because this honestly is kind of a good time to, and then we'll get to Starship right after this. So there was an Office of Investigator General report, or an OIG, or Office Inspector General, right? Which is kind of an independent government oversight committee over government programs. There was an OIG report about NASA's Human Landing System program. Okay. And so the OIG is kind of just an auditor to make sure that the program is working, right? And they went in and looked at the HLS program, and they had some pretty that's some pretty scathing things to say. Actually, a lot of people in this day and age throw out the term like, oh, your silence speaks volumes. And that's kind of where I'm at with the HLS program, like with this OIG report. So, okay. Some of the things that the report talks about, guys, is it deals with everything from like the landers potentially falling over. You know, intuitive. They actually did intuitive machines dirty and use the intuitive machines rover falling over.
Ouch.
In the report.
Ouch.
Like there's a picture of the Odysseus lander on its side, and I'm like, come on, right? And then it has everything from that to disagreements about, you know, astronauts being able to take manual control over the lunar descent and landing. Like there's a lot of weird stuff in here, right? I think the biggest thing though, like to kind of summarize the whole thing, is that this OIG report, it doesn't have, there's not a lot. There doesn't seem to be a lot going on. Like they talked about, you know, how Starship, you know, could tip over, and they talked about how Starship, you know, SpaceX wants, you know, people out of the loop. And the OIG said, well, during every one of the Apollo missions, they all did those more or less manually. They all ended up overriding the manual control to land precisely. Neil did. That's what that 1202 alarm is, the 1202, 1201, right? Like, turns out when you Stack Overflow your computer that was sewn together, it doesn't like it. You know, just software, right? But the biggest thing is like, they were like, oh, SpaceX has this with HLS. And a lot of the report is like, and Blue will be working on this in the future. Like, or, you know, SpaceX doesn't have a full fidelity HLS that they're going to send to the moon. And NASA wants them to do that. And they said they don't want to do that. And there's a lot of, I'm not going to say disagreement, but there seems to be a distinct like lack of oversight here from what the OIG is saying into the entire HLS program. And dude, there were parts like, so they were talking about like humans taking control, you know, how NASA and SpaceX kind of have, you know, or like not seeing eye to eye about who takes like if you can manually override control of the lander, right? And then they were like, yeah, Blue hasn't even figured out what they want to do yet with Blue Moon Mark II. So we'll tell you if there's a disagreement there when they have it. Like, all right, here's my thing. Now, keep in mind, this OIG report came out before Jared Isaacman reshuffled around the Artemis program, like with Artemis 3 being a low Earth orbit lander testing mission. And then, you know, Apollo 4 and 5 being lunar landings, right? Look, guys, this happened before he shuffled everything up. But even if you were going by Artemis's old schedule, there doesn't seem to be a critical amount of like NASA oversight here. It's almost like they weren't taking this program seriously. Like, you know, the OIG reached out to Blue Moon about how what do your landers control systems look like? And Blue Origin was just like, they look good. They look good.
Yeah.
They look
good.
neat.
Sure.
All right, look. Even if you're going by the old schedule, Ryan, to refresh my memory, when was Blue Moon Mark II originally supposed to land with the Sustainable Lunar Development Program? Was that 2029?
Oh boy.
It was. The point is that it wasn't 2028, but it wasn't like 2035 either. You know what I mean? Like,
no, yeah, because Blue Moon Mark II was supposed to be Artemis, was that 5, right?
Yes.
It's 5, and at using the old schedule, Artemis 5 would have been like 29, like 2029.
Okay.
At least 29. And and Starship HLS was supposed to still go with Artemis 4. Well, actually, technically it was Artemis 3, and that was supposed to be 27, but then they pushed that to 28, but then they brought it back to 27. So now HLS Starship has to be ready sooner. The problem is SpaceX has been so focused on other things with Starship is that they've kind of had to do it all off to the side. So I don't know if Blue Moon Mark II will be ready.
That's what I'm getting at, dude. Even if you adhere to the regular schedule, not having your control systems fleshed out by now is a little bit of what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, and then, dude, the OIG also cited like that the elevator on Starship is like single fault redundant, and if it lands on a slope, it could break. And then what? Then what do you do? And I'm just kind of sitting here thinking like,
ladder.
You know, Yeah. I mean, I
mean-
proposed the solution on my end on the stream, which basically,
Or
as the elevator
of
goes down,
sorts.
it unfurls a ladder as part of the the winch
Backup.
mechanism. Like,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
you go.
That has to be a backup. Like, I know the elevator is essential to that, but there needs to be a ladder backup for that thing. Like,
Just in
I don't
case,
see how
right?
there
Like,
isn't.
and
You
just
could even, like, here's the thing. You could even KSP style attach a ladder to the outside of that vehicle.
Yeah,
All it
baby.
needs to do is survive ascent. It's going to be
Yeah.
in space the rest of the time. So what? And you just need to design it to where it doesn't interfere with refueling docking operations. That's all you got to do. It's not. Is it really that complicated to stick a ladder on there to go around?
I mean,
that?
Ryan,
Granted, equipment would probably get stranded on, but at least the people wouldn't.
my dude, I mean, my thing is like, okay, if you're gonna get that whole big lander out there, Starship has 100-ton down mass to the lunar surface. If they're doing what SpaceX wants them to do with refueling, right? Like, is a ladder going to affect your mass margin or something?
No.
I'm pretty sure a ladder doesn't. What are you making the ladder out of? Lead? Just add one, right? Like, it's like, okay, all right, like
they should. It would look weird on the spacecraft, but I will take looking weird over safety.
The LEM looked weird, but it works.
Function
right?
over form.
It works.
Yeah.
LEM looks iconic at this rate. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
I love it. But so the point that I'm trying to get at is that this OIG report is super telling. I don't think, like, what was NASA doing with the HLS program up until this point? Because it very much was like, it seems like, oh, SpaceX, you got it, you build a lander. Blue, you got it, you build a lander. And yeah. How did that work out during the commercial crew? Yeah, Boeing, you can just build Starliner, it'll be fine.
Well,
we won't get up your tail about it. It very much seems like that. And the reason why I bring that up, right, is because Steve Stitch, the guy that was running the commercial crew program, he moved to running the HLS program, right? And Joel Montalbano took his place in the commercial crew program. These are all NASA employees, right? Now, the OIG report did cite the oversight that NASA had over Dragon. SpaceX was the risky pick, so NASA went up SpaceX's tail about making sure they built a perfect spacecraft. And I honestly, they really did a good job. And I think this report is very telling. I'm not trying to say that this report was the impetus for Jared Isaacman doing what he did with the Artemis program. But it kind of makes sense when you think about it, right? Testing the landers in LEO, forcing a test flight regime for the landers. It addresses a lot of these problems, dude. It addresses a ton of the issues that this OIG report picks up. And it's funny, in the appendix of the OIG report, they were like, oh yeah, this report was before Jared Isaacman addressed like literally everything. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys think moving Steve Stitch over there was on purpose, was part of this? Do you think Jared Isaacman did this because he saw this report and went, "Are you what? No. What are you guys doing here?"
I think so. I think it's at least part to do it. And as for like the vehicle manual control, I will always be of the mind, and this has been proven time and time again, especially in the airline industry.
I know what you're going to say, and I agree.
There's always autopilot. You should always, no matter what.
Yep.
Period. If you have humans on board, a way to manually override the system and take control of the craft. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts, nothing. You should always have a manual override to be able to land it or take control of the vehicle. I think any thought of not having any manual control is ludicrous to the point of insanity. We have learned those hard lessons, and we've had horrible accidents because of it. I think that's no. If you're even considering not having manual control, get out. I'm sorry, SpaceX, but get out if you're not going to do that, or even Blue. Don't even play with that.
Yeah, I know we're
that.
supposed to like be disagreeing, dude, but I very much agree with you. Manual control is why Starliner didn't bury itself into the side of the ISS. Just saying. Shout out to Barry Wilmore.
I don't mind automation. Automation is good. But if you look at Crew Dragon right now, by the way, hi, I'm back. Thankfully, all is good. My house is not on fire. Yeah, if you look back at that, yeah, they got rid of most of the switches. A lot of touchscreens, a lot of automation, things like that, but there's always the buttons to be able to take control. And one thing that I believe they pointed out in the report, I don't know if you guys mentioned this or not, was that every single Apollo mission took over manual control on landing. Every single lunar landing did. That is a must-have. And if you don't learn from having seen that on every Apollo flight, then that's crazy. Although, again, I know there is the risk of it tipping over, and it's probably less likely if you do automation. But when you've got so much lunar regolith kicking up, and imagine that then all of a sudden goes, hey, how about those sensors that we're using, the LiDAR, to actually check the ground? We've seen that on past lunar landers where they lose sight of the ground because of the regolith kick up. Imagine being able to take over control of that with the person. You should be able to do that. Anyway, I don't know what else I missed, but back to you guys.
No, once again, I think it's not. So sorry, Ryan, Max. I don't think that this is very much like any problems that can't be fixed. SpaceX can put a ladder on the side of the thing.
Yeah.
It's not like they have a mass margin problem. It can move 100 tons to the surface. A ladder is not 100 tons. I think you'll be fine. The manual control problem, the manual control things, I think, Ryan, I think they ultimately will do that. If I'm landing on the moon, I want manual control just in case, right? Just like autopilots, just like ILS, doing an ILS landing. You never know. It should be fine. But, if I'm a passenger in the plane, I would want a pilot there just making sure it would be fine. That would be probably a good idea.
Especially for a vehicle that's as tall and maybe not top heavy, but has a lot of weight up top, similar to what we saw with Intuitive Machines, both landers and them coming over. Having a way to override the sensors or the autopilot, if you will, or any sort of automation, just to make sure that you can land at level and actually have a view of the terrain you're looking at, is imperative. So yeah, that was also addressed in the OIG report, was how tall and how narrow Starship is as a lander, and the chances of it falling over, like we've seen before with Odysseus and its successor. So yeah, I don't know if I have much more to add to this, to be honest. I think the report is pretty self-explanatory. I know Sawyer was nodding his head when I said that the Starship was very tall and very narrow for a lander. So I'm not sure if Sawyer has more to add to that.
Yeah, again, sorry, the beeping may still be happening in the background. Apologize. But yeah, there's a great diagram that they have inside the document that shows just how ridiculous the size comparison is, especially when you compare it to the lunar module and when you compare it to what Blue is doing. It looks totally ridiculous in size. It's crazy. And the fact that they point out that we are landing at the south pole of the moon. Look at that for comparison. The lunar south pole, when you compare it to the Apollo missions, those were mostly on the flatter mare. This, we're talking about craters where you could have angles of about 20-degree slope in some points, which, spoiler alert, not ADA accessible. Moon, get on it. But, that's a huge risk. So you got to have something that can be able to withstand that, or again, know where it is so it knows where it isn't to tip over.
And also, the legs on the Starship lander aren't exactly very wide. It's similar to what we see with New Glenn GS1 and how kind of narrow its legs are. It's not like Falcon 9 where the legs spread out pretty far, and there isn't a super high risk of it falling over just because there isn't a lot of ground to cover on the legs themselves. But the legs themselves there on the Starship lander are not very big, and I imagine it wouldn't take a ton. I'm not entirely sure how they're designed or what the actual final design would look like. But just based on what we're seeing with the render here, it looks like there could be a bit of a higher chance of this thing being at risk of falling over than maybe some people would like, especially if they land at just on a slope that's a few degrees too steep. But they may have a way to combat that in the actual design of the legs themselves, or within the actual leg supports as well. I'm not sure. But regardless, it is an incredibly tall lander for a pretty narrow actual footprint on the ground.
That's the thing I'm waiting to see, and I'm hoping sometime soon. And maybe we'll get some tidbits, especially around Flight 12 or after Flight 12.
Yeah.
Especially with the introduction of Block 3.
Mhm.
But boy, I know they did that whole post on HLS. It was a couple of months ago, but like, I would love to see like if they're close to a finalized design for the whole thing. Like, I know we've seen renders here, there, and everywhere, but I would love to know like how close they actually are to even like a prototype HLS Starship to be built at Starbase, because it's going to have to get built at Starbase. So how close are they? I would have loved to know that, and then of course love to see it. Maybe the legs are bigger than they are in all the renders. Maybe they change the design. Maybe with this OIG report and Steve Stitch and everyone else, maybe they upgrade the design. Because while you got, as EJ has said, you got 100 tons or more for that matter. You might even be able to get more, because depending on how efficient Block 3 can end up getting and whatnot, you can afford to put more mass into landing legs if you have to. It's not really the end of the world. If it helps you keep your thing stable, why not do it?
Mhm.
If it costs you a few tons, so be it. I mean,
yeah, what are they going to do? Run out of payload margin?
right? Right? Like what? Like, okay, you can make that up when you stretch the ship more, which I don't really want to see a Block 4 landing on the moon. That's like a 60, 70 meter, like a 60-meter tall ship. Oh boy, or taller.
Fellas, I'm getting in, like we're getting into the weeds here, but the point that I really wanted to make is that this really isn't about like things that can't be changed or fixed on the landers. It's that NASA's been like radio silent, and they're just letting the contractors do what they want. And then when the contractor comes back and says, okay, here, we're going to do this, right? Oh, hey, Adrian, what's up, man?
Yeah.
When they come back and say, we're going to do this, NASA goes, oh, I don't want to do that. There seems to be no oversight here. I think that's the real pressing issue that I got from that entire OIG report. That, and the Shackleton crater is twice as deep as the Grand Canyon, which that's 12,000 feet deep, which is like 3,800 meters. Like, did anyone realize the Shackleton crater is that big? Like,
or 3.8 kilometers.
Yeah.
That's a long way.
It's a long way down.
That's a I didn't realize the crater was that big. I'll be honest with you. Like, that's
and not to mention the being stuck in shadow for a very long period of time, because the moon is tidally locked with the Earth, so it doesn't rotate once every 24 hours like Earth does. It rotates with Earth's orbit, or it rotates as it orbits the Earth, and that's once every 30 days. So you don't have the
one orbit.
Yeah. So very, 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 very prolonged periods of very not permanent. Well, I mean, some areas of the moon are in permanent shadow just based on where they are in the craters, if they're deep enough. But you also have that to deal with as well if you land in the wrong spot. And which means you have very, very, very cold temperatures, but that's also where a lot of the ice or potential water could be, which is why they are targeting the South Pole, which is the main driving factor there between that location. So yeah, but that's also why landing on the South Pole is a lot riskier than what they were doing in the Apollo program, which is why the landers for HLS need to be that much more robust and capable of combating those risks. But they are already incredibly ambitious designs, especially with Starship. But again, there's so much happening behind the scenes, and we get a peek into both companies' HLS programs like maybe twice a year, and maybe our next glimpse will be during the Flight 12 stream from SpaceX's end. We don't know, but we also can only speculate on what's actually happening in Starbase, which is where this ship is going to be built, as far as we can see, just based on what buildings are available right now. Our biggest theory right now is that Ship 44, which is the nose cone that we haven't seen since September of last year, could very well be the first HLS article, and that's why it was pulled off the line in Star Factory. But that's all speculation. We don't know. We have no way to actually see what else is happening in there, or what SpaceX's actual engineering drawings or CAD designs are, or any of that. We only see what they end up releasing or what's leaked, and there hasn't been much in the way of leaks for HLS. So yeah, a lot could still change though. But time is running out. Like the clock is certainly ticking.
Yeah, man. I just think the NASA oversight part is really, 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 really telling. And because, these landers clearly aren't fleshed out. Like, they're not even close. Max, like you just said it with the nose cones, they're not even close. Nope. You know they got to land like 18 months from now, right? That's less time than the LEM from the Apollo program. Like,
the LEM was also a fraction of the size.
Much simpler concept of operations in that you don't need to refuel it.
Yep.
I'm like, this whole thing is like, I'm convinced, dudes, that this was the impetus for Jared Isaac. Like, this is the straw that broke the camel's back. He looked at this and said, wait, you're not even developing the lander? What? Oh, like,
he probably borderline had a stroke when he realized that. Like,
dude, I know I would. You remember that whole thing where he announced the Starliner mishap and then the Artemis program architecture update? Like, he was like being super serious. I'm pretty sure he saw this. What? Are you kidding me?
He's trying to light a fire under the butts of the people who actually have their hands in the game, right? And you have to do that, especially if you want to be or have the motive or the actual deep drive to get something as profound and as difficult as this done. I mean, we had that resolve and that drive in the 1960s, whereas it might be a bit more tricky in today's climate to do that. But in order to get stuff done of that magnitude, you kind of have to. And he's pulling out all the stops in doing that as much as he possibly can. But in the end, it's all up to those who actually have their hands building and working on the hardware. And on that front, we only have a limited view of what they're actually doing. What was that scowl for, EJ? What are you scowling at?
All right, I'm calling you out, Michael, in the chat. Michael DeMarco, might as well develop a smaller lander, go Alpaca? No.
Like
Stubby Starship.
No, that lander sucks. All right, that lander sucks. You know why? Because it doesn't have the thrust to weight or delta V to land on the moon. No Alpaca landers. Get out of here. No.
We mentioned lighting a fire under like Blue and SpaceX. You know, it's a camera switching there.
Whoa. Hello. EJ, how's HLS? How's HLS, EJ?
It's not finished yet. Help.
Yeah. You talk about lighting a fire under them, and it's like, well, okay, the contract for Blue Origin was put out a long time ago, and we know all the other fun projects that Blue Origin is focused on, especially trying to up their flight cadence of New Glenn. They're really focused on that, and then they're trying to also now make a lander. So they're expanding their operations a lot, and of course the program's not even that old under Blue Origin. And then you look at SpaceX, it's like, I mean, they're working on HLS because they're working on Starship. There is no HLS without Starship, without Block 3 working. If Block 3 doesn't work, HLS doesn't work. So, like, you want to light a fire under SpaceX, but, like, they also need to get Block 3 to work. If they can't get it to work, well, you don't have a lander. So, I mean...
Again, the Starship HLS is based on the version 3 architecture. I have no doubt that there will be versions iterations in version 4, but that's at least 2 to 3 or more years away. Version 3 is the first version of Starship where they plan on making many of and to bring into operational status at some point. I think first and foremost with getting the Starlink version 3 satellites into orbit, which is what the current payload design is designed for. There will be other designs made to support other commercial payloads, but currently Starlink version 3 satellites are first on the docket. But again, version 3 is the first version of Starship to hopefully become operational soon. And that is why it's a really big deal that they get it right and not have any sort of screw ups like they had with version 2. Go ahead, Rye.
Also, like, and I forgot to mention this with Blue Origin. Not only do they need to make their lander, but they have to get New Glenn cadence up because they have to refuel the thing.
Yeah,
Like
right.
literally,
Yep.
like it is funny that you go and you want to light a fire under both these companies to make their landers, but the launchers that are the launchers that are not only launching Blue Moon Mark II and that are literally launching HLS because it is the rocket system. Like the rocket system has to get high cadence and has to work too.
Yep.
Like that's the hilarious part about it. It's literally not just a lander; they're literally building a rocket to go along with it, and like you have to build the pads, you have to get the cadence up for both of it. Both have to work just fine. Now, New Glenn's on a really good streak. He got 2 successful launches, basically 2 perfect launches for all intents and purposes. And they're going to move on to flight 3 here, hopefully within a few weeks or whatever, or maybe in April. But like. It's the kind of funny thing you want to light a fire under them, but they are trying to develop 2 systems concurrently to make this work. And it's not like, oh, we're just going to build a LEM. It's not like that. Like it's it's a lot more complicated than that. That's the thing.
Is it bad if that's like kind of what I want them to do? Like, can we?
I want them to do.
Somebody just build a LEM, please. Like
that's a great long-term solution. But I think because it's a long-term solution, you're not going to get that figured out right now. Even though they are kind of tasked to do that in the next like 2 or 3 years.
Wait, what? Wait. How is HLS a faster solution than building another LEM?
No, it's not. I said it's not faster.
Oh, okay, dude. I misheard. I was like, wait,
no. This is the both. So designing both your launch vehicle and your lander concurrently is the better long-term solution. And it's not.
Yeah,
it's not a short-term solution. That's what I said.
The problem is that we have short-term goals right now.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
That is the problem. You have short-term goals with all long-term solutions.
Yeah. I mean.
Anyways,
I think just making a LEM, and actually, I was reading a tweet from Scott Manley. Hello, Scott Manley here. Today we're going to talk about the Centaur 5 upper stage. No, sorry. I was reading a post from Scott the other day about how if they mitigate boil off with Centaur 5 can do your lunar orbit insertion and get an Orion capsule into low lunar orbit, which would make something like the LEM viable again. I'm kind of about that life. That would be good. That simplifies your lander a lot. Problem is that you can't co-manifest your payload here, so you'd need 2 SLSs to do it, right? Or something that can go all the way to put 16 tons of lander into low lunar. The other thing I think is that if we tried to make the LEM today, we could absolutely make it a lot better. We can make it a lot lighter, a lot less mass. The LEM was using riveted aluminum, like an airplane.
Yeah,
that's
foil.
And the skin was like you could almost punch through it. It was kind of scary.
How is it?
And there's always
the funny thing. Remember when ULA wanted to use Centaur 5 and refuel it in orbit and use it as a tug?
Yep.
That's not. I mean, you could do that now. I'm not saying you couldn't. You could
use it as a tug and get Orion into low lunar orbit. Let's do this.
Dude,
because NRHO is stupid. Yeah,
actually,
it's stupid.
Yeah. Well, no, Ryan, I agree with you. I was for the Gateway until the time to launch Gateway for the Artemis program came and went, and now I'm just like, what are you doing? Like.
Hey,
like the best place for Gateway to be right now is rectilinear halo orbit, and it's it's not there. It's not even close to there.
Like
it's weird.
Build Gateway, but make it way bigger and stick it in a lower lunar orbit, and then we have a space station in a lower orbit. And if you're NASA, light a fire. You want to light a fire under HLS. Light a fire under your commercial partners for commercial space stations, so we can get better space stations in low Earth orbit. And boom, we got a space station around the moon and around Earth. Hey, I like it. Let's do it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Yeah, there's a lot of building a small 2-stage ascent descent lander at this point is
Lunar
not
reef.
like unreasonable, even with the Block 1S architecture. Actually, Ryan, what I heard you just say is actually not a bad idea. Have New Glenn or Falcon 9 or something put that up there, and then have SLS launch in the B1S version with the Centaur 5 and Orion, and just have Orion attached to the lander, and then the Centaur send the whole thing out. I'm like, is it bad if I'm like kind of okay with this? Like, that's actually pretty good. It's an EOR architecture, but that
You should
want to get
try
your
it.
moon.
We're getting to the weeds now, aren't we?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Well, hey, it's a
You
flame
should-
trench, and
Yeah.
Sawyer had to go fix his fire alarm, so I'm the host now. So
You
going,
should
we
go-
steered right into the iceberg.
EJ, go try building that in KSP and tell us how it goes, because
What do you
there
mean?
may
Yeah.
be some potential there. I want to see how it goes.
I know it'll work, dude.
Then do it. You know it'll work. You're sure it'll work.
I'm 100% sure. Yes.
You heard it here first.
Let's
See,
do it. All right.
when you have as many hours as I do in that game, Max, it goes back to what we were talking about: retiring risk and unknown unknowns. There's no unknown unknowns with me in that type of architecture. You know how many things I've made land on the moon in that game? I
Do it
can
again?
get that to work real quick.
Do it again. Do it.
All right.
Do it.
You just made my Twitch chat go bananas. So
Nice.
all right.
Nice.
Okay.
Score. Nice.
I guess I have to now. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. No.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Anyway. Do I have to report my findings back like next week or something?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Yes.
The
Yeah,
clock's
you do.
ticking. By next flame trench, putting this on air. By next flame trench, you have to get this done and give us a detailed report on how it went. Maybe even have the whole thing recorded and play the whole thing back.
all right. Okay.
Chat, what do you
I
think?
have to do I have
Well-
to design the launch vehicles, or can I use something that I already have?
Design the launch vehicles as much as possible to what's applicable in real life.
So a B1S,
Yeah.
Block 1S with SLS, and then
Centaur.
another
Falcon-
vehicle of another
Falcon
vehicle of my
Heavy.
choosing? Okay.
Falcon Heavy, whatever other vehicle might be used.
Could I launch the LEM with my space shuttle? Is that okay? Just
Don't do
because?
no.
And have that rendezvous with an Orion and a Centaur
No.
in urban orbit?
Talk about cursed right there.
Oh my God, Centaur G, welcome back.
Right?
Oh, that's an even better idea. Thank you.
Oh, no.
I have one of
No.
those too.
No.
Wait. Shuttle launch to the LEM with Centaur G, dock with the LEM, along with Orion, so you get all three docked together to the moon. There.
EJ's like,
all using shuttles. No SLS.
Look, Ryan.
No,
all
bro.
I'm saying is that the shuttle would be good at building stuff like Gateway, and if the shuttle still
Yeah.
existed, Gateway would be there right now. That's all I'm saying.
It's almost
You
like we
build it
didn't
in
use it
Leo
for
and
its
then
intended
launch it to the
purpose
moon.
for the most part of its life. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and put a Centaur G behind it. But we couldn't do Centaur G because that was too dangerous. That was too dangerous because of hydrogen. Never mind the big hydrogen thing that the orbiter is attached to. No.
We are
And
not
which
yet.
SLS is currently kind of based off of design wise for the course.
Yeah, no.
Anyway,
We draw the line and put it in the payload bay. It's like
We really are way off the rails, aren't we?
we are. But this is the flame trench. There are no rails.
all right.
Most
All
of the
right,
time.
I'll bring us back, and I'll rifle through some support here. Okay. All right, we got Ken Shaw 65 becoming a Capcom member. Do appreciate you. Thank you very much. All right, we got Jorik Huskin. All right, becoming a new member. Thanks for becoming a Capcom member. Appreciate it. We got Telstar 86 gifts and a Red Team membership. Thank you very much. And then we have Mr. Fluffy. What's you up to? $5 super chat. Ignoring Sora's request. Sorry, Ish. I kindly request the return of Shuttle Sunday. How topical. Shuttle Sundays with Chris Sawyer and EJ since, we were abandoned. I'm not sure I could do it every Sunday, but I'd be down.
I know that they've been trying to bring
Chad,
that back, but
If you guys want to.
that's not my topic to talk about. So I don't know where they are. I don't know. I know they want to.
Are you guys going to hold me to that? Do I have to do that in Kerbal?
Yes, it's on air. You have to do it. You were so
Okay.
sure it was going to work, so now you have to do it.
Okay.
Put your
I
money
will.
where your mouth is, son.
What money? I'm not going to win any money from this. I'm going back to the support. Get out of here. So we have negative ascent specialist. Sounds like Max when he plays Kerbal. $10 super chat.
I don't
Finally
play
got
Kerbal. Joke's on you.
What?
I've never played Kerbal once before. We've talked about this. I've never played Kerbal before.
Oh, I know. I'm being obtuse on purpose.
I know, being obtuse on purpose.
Because
Anyway, support.
They haven't seen that. No, I'm not changing the subject. What's wrong with you?
Be rude to negative ascent specialist. That's fine.
No, I'm not going. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep going back to the support. Not because you told me to, but because I want to.
Oh, okay. Copy that.
Finally got cell coverage. Time to hang out with the favorite space nerds. I hope you're having fun, negative. I really do. All right. We got Jim Yoder with a $2 super chat. We all know the number, the probability of loss of proof.
Don't say it out loud. No, don't say it. Don't say it. That was evil. That was evil.
Next super chat. All right. We got Scott Therrod with $1.40 super chat. New rockets made from secondhand shuttle bits. Yeah, I mean, I'd prefer shuttles made from shuttle bits, but SLS is useful for something. It's fine. Jim Yoder, $2 super chat. This is all from the previous discussion. Is the 1 in 50 shuttle derived odds? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Ha ha. All right. We got Mr. Gamer IO with a $10 super chat. Flame trench with cheesecake. Oh, we should go back to doing that. That was fun. That was a funny flame trench, dude.
Cheesecake? I don't get the reference.
It was about a year ago, actually, where me, Das, and Jack did a flame trench at the Margaritaville Hotel, and Cheesecake showed up to the door.
Oh my god! Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I don't remember that.
No.
That was pretty funny, man. I was like, dude, we got it. And I was like, wow, Das is really on his game. He's really on his game. We made a cheesecake reference. He somehow got to his phone and ordered cheesecake for us. I don't know how he did. This guy's a legend. No, he didn't order it. Some viewer did.
Amazing.
That was pretty funny, man. All right, what a blast. We got a $10 super chat. Great work, guys. Wish bedroom wallpaper was banned? I have prints from both hosts who use them. Let's see some rocket pictures. Oh, bedroom wallpaper. Why don't you just have rocket wallpaper then?
He's got a point.
Rocket wallpaper.
He's got a point.
We could make it a thing. It could be shop.nes. No, we don't sell wallpaper.
No, just use here's the thing. You can use the pictures because in addition to the metal prints, we also have the poster version. So you can just splatter posters all over your wall. Shop.nasaspaceflight.com. We've got Starship V3 ones in there. We've got Artemis in there. I go away, I come back, and I'm instantly pimping. That's how you know it's a flame trench. Sorry, my
easy there, big pimping.
Smoke
Come on,
detector's broken. So anyway, it should be quiet enough now to keep going.
All right, cool. Well, welcome back, man. I'm glad everything's okay. I'm just plowing through the rest of the support here, and then I will hand the con back over to you.
Go for it, because I got a cool topic to talk about next.
All right. Rick Skinner with a $5 super chat. Apple pie for Pie Day tomorrow. I do like apple pie.
Oh god, it's Pie Day tomorrow.
I just realized.
Oh my god!
You know why all of this is happening today with all the issues with
Friday the 13th
stuff? Friday the 13th.
Friday
baby.
the 13th. Smile.
The last Friday the 13th that we had in March, it was not a good Friday the 13th in March.
Why was it not a good Friday the 13th?
The last Friday the 13th that we had in March was in 2020.
Oh, I
really?
remember that day. The day the world shut down.
It's just 2 weeks.
Interesting.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we
Elon
got
time,
another
right?
super chat from Bideford here. Bideford, how are you? $50 super chat. I believe success comes with risks, but NASA is busting their butts to make safe for the crew. You think EJ is right, though? Well, if failure occurs, Artemis is over, so no failures accepted. Yeah, the heck with the probabilistic numbers. How about we just make sure it works? Like that, I think John is right in that regard. Like that's probably a good idea. Should probably do that. How about you just make sure it works? Making sure it works is probably, yeah. We should do that. Lars Edblom here gifted a Red Team membership. Thank you very much. We got Brandon Roberts becoming a Pad Rat member. Thank you so much. I don't know if you guys noticed the support cues on my other monitor up there, so I'm like, All right. So we got LaserTech gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you very much. And then we got Telstar 86. What do we got? would it be better to do a wet dress rehearsal or use a potential, no, I'm not saying that word, as extra tests instead of a full failure, another $2 billion to rebuild Mother SLS? I think that having the crew suit up during a wet dress rehearsal and then calling it a launch attempt, if it works correct, is not the stupidest decision. We did talk about that a little bit earlier.
I'm going to interrupt you for a quick second.
Yeah.
Because
Hello.
the view on the left side of your screen is live.
It's a Starship Tower module for Pad 37 rolling by the press site right now, courtesy of a feed
Two
from
of them.
the one and
There's
only.
a second one behind it.
That's module
Oh my God.
2. That's
There's-
module 2, and the one behind that is module 4, and that would be all 9 modules for the first tower. It's like 37.
This is
They
getting
did
out of
one during
hand.
daylight.
Now there's 2 of them.
Finally.
That's
So-
awesome. This is
Everything-
a great feed from Jerry Pike over at the KSC press site right now. That's awesome. Look at
Everything you
that.
see now is happening now,
When will then be now?
soon.
Nice.
Oh, there's those hydraulic
SPMTs.
motors.
Yeah.
Love that noise. Love that
It's
noise.
a good noise.
Hopefully in 6 days we get the crawler transporter. Today we get the SPMTs.
Yep. The crawler is still outside of High Bay 3, just for the record, so y'all know.
Okay.
So yeah, next steps will be to stack these, which maybe in another month and a half. It's really hard to tell. I haven't seen any more updated views of it's like 37, but they're still got to build the foundation and the base of the tower, and then once they get the chance to, they can get started on Tower 2 for 37, because they got more towers to build. Just a few, including if we include catch towers.
You should make like
Also-
more towers. You should make more.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to make more towers, EJ. You're
Yeah, they
you're,
should
you're
make
lucky.
like at least five more. Like, just a nice round number.
5 towers? Wait, what are the 4 towers though?
Pad 37.
The hilarious
Now
thing
we have
is
a new
they're-
answer. Now we have a new answer when someone
Yeah.
asks, "What are the 4 towers?"
Well, give it
might-
like 2 or 3 years, and we might have all 4 up there. I'm not sure, but maybe.
By the way, Jay, I'm disappointed we didn't get to see the breaking news stinger for this one.
Oh no, not now. Now he's gonna do it anyway.
Of course he is.
Oh no, bracing.
Actually, watch. He's going to be a rebel and be like, "No, we're not friends because you called me
Bracing.
out." So I'm
Oh,
not gonna
Jay's
do
saying
it."
he'll resist. Interesting. Okay, didn't see that coming.
I thought we were friends again, Jay.
And
Okay.
to show you why it's module 4, you can see the 2 lower SQD arm attachment points, and then there's a couple of boxes there, which is the get off points for the internal elevator at the SQD arm level.
Yep.
So
Okay.
that's the giveaway for it being level 4, module 4, and then of course module 5 has that kind of same setup, but at the bottom of the module. So yeah,
These are
You're
big
talking about
tower
those
segments.
things like those things up there, top left, right? Those brackets that are up on the side, top left.
yeah, you can see the 2 brackets, which will be the two lower attach points, and then you can even see a bracket on the actual column itself, which is where the actuator attaches.
Yep.
There's 4 attachment points in total for the SQD arm. When it's a hook to the 3 lower, it's set up for block 3. When it's hooked up to the 3 uppers, it'll be set up for block 4. So whenever they switch to the taller booster, all they got to do is take the SQD arm and move it up. They'll have to rearrange some piping in there, but it shouldn't be that hard to do.
They
but it's still a
probably
mod.
terminated the conduits in a way where they're easy to extend, dude.
Yeah, probably. But
I'm talking about those pipes on the sides, guys, for the arm. They probably made it easy to extend them.
so those are all high pressure electrical lines. So there's like argon, helium, the pre-pressed gases, hydraulics, plus cryo lines in there. There's a ton of stuff that runs up through there.
Oh, look at that! The VAB threw it.
You know, it's crazy to me. Like, Ryan, I didn't really think about it. I'm just gonna nerd out here for a second. I didn't really think about it, but yeah, your hydraulic power units for the pad aren't gonna be up on the tower, right? You're gonna be pumping that hydraulic fluid all the way up there into an accumulator, and then to the hydraulic ram, right? Like, it's not like they have a PTO and like diesel engine sitting up by the SQD. They pump the hydraulic fluid like 300 feet in the air. I didn't even think about that. That's actually super nifty. Like for the chopsticks too, dude. It's like
Yeah, the sticks don't have, well, the sticks actually, from what it seems at this point, because they haven't reinstalled any accumulators, but it's highly likely that the new large actuator arms are electric, not hydraulic.
Oh, well, that's no fun.
Welcome back, Booster 9.
By the way, chat, can we get a chant going for Jerry? Jerry, Jerry, Jerry. For that views. Just saying. Come on, chat. Join in.
And the note is saying that the camera is Jerry's. Jerry's
the father?
Yep.
If there's ever any doubt of how big those modules actually are, that was a great example of Humans for Scale with that one guy walking behind the SPMT. Because these tower modules are gigantic. They're not small pieces of hardware at all.
And the crane they're using for it is
The largest crane in the world. Yeah.
The
kind of
13,000.
It's not really overkill, but these modules are nothing to it. The LR 13,000, and it's power boom config too with the jib. It's hilarious how powerful that thing is.
Sick.
Yes, they put it in its power boom config. It's gonna look amazing when they raise that thing up and start stacking these towers. It's gonna look
amazing.
Power boom is cool. It's if you're a lattice crawler crane nerd like Ryan and I.
Yeah. Also interesting, we see tower parts for one move, and then behind it, the tower that apparently will not do anything now. So yeah.
Oh, sad. Sad.
You know what?
Sad ML2 noises.
Here we got this nice flame trench. You all buzzing along. All the gears are working in perfect synchronization. And here comes EJ with the monkey wrench. I think New Glenn 9x4 is going to launch on that thing. Boom. There it is.
Hey,
yeah,
that's a segue, isn't it?
That's a segue if I've ever heard one.
That's a segue.
That's a segue.
Right in the mix.
I can't even be mad at that. That was smooth. Clunky. I guess it's like peanut butter. It was smooth enough, but like chunky peanut butter. So anyway.
Ew. Chunky is weird.
I agree.
Chunky is a weird word.
Anyway. Chunky peanut butter is weird. But what's also weird is something that was just posted in an update, in a job opening for Blue Origin. And no, we are not saying that you should go apply to this position. This is just of note. Although, also, by the way, if you want to keep watching anything going on with the towers, going down the road, and all of the action, we always have Space Coast Live, our 24/7 live cameras over at the Space Coast. So there was an opening that was noticed for a ground system cryogenic fluids design engineer. Okay, cool. What does that have to do with anything? Well, there's an interesting part. If you go down to the third paragraph, it says, this role supports the development and operations of New Glenn's second generation launch vehicle. You'll be a key contributor developing launch sites dedicated to this new highly capable launch system that leverages the success of the current generation. So 2 interesting notes there. One, this doesn't say 9x4. This doesn't say 7x2 or 9x4. This just says second generation launch vehicle. Doesn't even say New Glenn in the name. And then the second one there you see pointing out developing launch sites. So I think this is indicative of the fact that we will be seeing Blue taking over another launch pad at the Cape and building a new launch site.
Wouldn't that be something?
There's been rumors about, maybe there'll be another spot. But, I mean, this is a pretty good confirmation of it. So, I mean, the 2 key questions here are, what do they mean by second generation vehicle? And, of course, where would they build a whole nother launch pad for this? Let's start with the new vehicle first. What do you think?
I think it's 9x4, and I think it's going to launch on ML2.
Oh my God!
Sorry, I kind of already said it, but there you go. You have all the commodities already there. You'd be crazy not to use that. I mean, it's not every day that a mobile launcher comes up, for grabs. Just putting it out there, it'd be a pretty good decision.
I mean,
Max, what do you think?
NASA themselves said they have no plans to use it in their upcoming or their modified plans for Artemis going forward. So, It might be up for grabs for New Glenn Generation 2, aka probably 9x4. But the issue is, how are they going to modify the design of pad 39B to both accommodate SLS and 9x4 at the same time, assuming both conflict? But the other launch pad that I can see them taking over probably is Space Launch Complex 46 over at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, because we hardly ever see anything happening over there anymore. That is a pad built for the Minuteman solid rocket booster derived launch vehicles, and that's where Orion launched to demonstrate its launch abort system. But there's a ton of real estate over there to use, and it's right next to Pad 36, which is where Blue it currently flies New Glenn in its current configuration. So Pad 46 to me seems the most likely. 39B, I would still love to see a 9x4 flying there of some sort, or just New Glenn flying there at all. Would love to see it on ML2, and it would be cool. It'd be awesome to see. It would be. I think I may have said during a previous TFT episode that might happen. Still might. Don't know. Weirder things have happened, and the things are happening fast nowadays. And Blue Origin wants to get this new generation of a launch vehicle off the pad sooner than later. And they have a mobile launcher right there that could be modified to support a New Glenn 9x4. I don't know.
Yeah, but here's the thing, that would need a whole mobile launcher to lift it and transport it. There is no crawlerway anywhere down near the area that Blue Origin currently has. So they would then have to either share 39B, which I don't think NASA is going to allow, or they would have to do some kind of major buildup in the area around 36, which, let's take a look at the area anyway, just so we can kind of see where we're at and speculate. And this is courtesy of Harry Stranger, who is able to get the satellite time to get this. This was from February of this year, which, by the way, not sponsored. He has a Patreon. If you really want to keep seeing more of these amazing satellite images of all the different launch pads and their progress, you should totally go check out his Patreon there. So if you zoom in over there, we've got 36 right in the bottom of the frame. So there's 36 as it is. To the north, there's that little bit that they used for the Jarvis testing as well. I don't want to forget about that. Is that, it used to be, I think, LC-12 up there, right? Is that something also, Max, that they could consider using?
They could. That would require a lot of land clearing over there as well, but that is also in very close proximity to Launch Complex 13 as well, which used to be LZ1 and 2, or still is LZ2. If SpaceX needed to use it, but Phantom Space is going to be taking over the lease for one of those areas. So it's in very close proximity to that. And I don't think a launch vehicle like Phantom Space wants to build doesn't. I don't think they want that rocket or their facilities to be anywhere near a rocket as big as 9x4 could be or will be, which is about the size of a version 3 Starship right now. It's a very large vehicle. Both stretched in length on the first stage and upper stage, with bigger strakes and a bigger skirt to hold now 9 BE4 engines as opposed to the 7 on the 7x2, hence 7x2 and 9x4 for New Glenn Gen 2, and the 4 referring to 4 BE3Us on GS2 or Glenn Stage 2. Could use this. They could, but it's in very close proximity to 13. 46 makes more sense to me in my head, but I could be very wrong. But this is in even closer proximity than 46 is currently.
Yeah, because that's 12 up above that, right? In
Correct.
That little spot there. That's
Correct.
12.
Yep.
So just for reference there. And then if you scroll up a little bit more, that's when you'll see how close it is, like you were talking about, Max, to 13.
Yep.
There's LZ2.
Yep.
And LZ1 right there, and that's 12 at the bottom of the screen.
And that's also, mind you, that is Pad 14 or LC14 just above that, which is where Stoke is going to be launching Nova, hopefully in the near future. So that is a lot of small and medium-sized launch. I can't say the word. Oh my gosh, infrastructure. Yes, thank you. In very close proximity to a vehicle that is much bigger, much bigger. I think the lack of cadence from 46, I think, would warrant would warrant more leverage for its case than maybe the LC-12 area. Just in my head, but I could be wrong. But at this point, we don't know. But what we do know is that they want to build a secondary launch facility for New Glenn, or at least a much more powerful variant of New Glenn. Hopefully that'll be 3 to 4 years out. But New Glenn, on its own, was already quite a few years behind compared to when Blue wanted to first launch it. But it's flying now, and maybe there'll be a lot less time to have it up and running. But it's one thing to build a launch vehicle, but it's a whole other topic and a whole other beast to build a launch pad to support a rocket, especially one that much bigger than the current 7x2 New Glenn configuration. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll see if leases change hands once again, whether it be for 46 or if we just see more land clearing over at pad over by their current launch complex. But yeah, they are certainly not short of room to use.
There's the information to lease 46 that we were talking about, which does a lot of how do I put this nicely? Suborbital rockets that are not meant to be scientific.
Hypersonic.
Right,
Oh
let's say it
gosh,
that
excuse me. Excuse me.
Yeah. So that's the RFI of basically looking, hey, who wants it? And I know we talked about that on a flame trench before.
Yep.
So I guess it could be for that. But I'm going to throw a little twist in here. Because,
Okay.
of course, we're talking about, for those who don't know, the 7x2 is the current version of New Glenn, which they've talked about just kind of getting better improvement of performance out of it anyway as they fly. They also announced the 9x4, which is 9 engines at the base instead of 7, and then the upper stages, you've got more engines on it. Basically, a larger, more capable version even of the 7x2. There was something called New Armstrong that was thrown around. Could this potentially have any relation to that as well, where you create something that could work for a 9x4, and if they decide to go even crazier than that, whatever New Armstrong was going to be, do that? Or do you think 9x4 is basically in place of New Armstrong? EJ, I want to hear from you on this. You've been pretty quiet.
I think that 9x4 is a stopgap for New Armstrong. I think New Armstrong
EJ,
will
you're
eventually.
muted. EJ, are you unmuted?
Yeah, of course I am. I was not. I was in Discord, but I wasn't unmuted for them. They were here. They heard me the whole time.
Sorry, folks. Didn't apologize if we were talking over EJ.
No. I've been listening. I know that's weird, right? It's I think that 9x4 is a stopgap for New Armstrong Sawyer. I think that
really.
Yeah, I think it's a stopgap. I think New Armstrong is coming down the pipe. If you look at 9x4, and I still get crap for that flame trench where I said 9x4 looks ridiculous, but it's not architecturally. That's just the looks. Architecturally, it's a smart idea. It really is. Like, credit where credit is due. That allows you to basically stretch New Glenn's design. So I kind of consider like 9x4 to be like New Glenn 1.1. Like, you have Falcon 9 1.0, and then they stretched it with Falcon 9 1.1, right? Relatively early in the program, you're seeing the same thing going on here. And guys, like, yeah, it could be New Armstrong, but okay, let's be real. 9x4 is a gigantic vehicle. It's bigger than a Saturn V, bigger than SLS, almost as tall as a Starship stack. That is a ridiculously big vehicle. Now, you guys are saying like, oh, LC-12, LC-11. Oh, Max, you even say like LC-46, right? Like, guys, that's not enough room to build a launch site for a rocket that big. Like, I'm just putting it out there. 9x4 is gigantic. You need something the size of 39B to launch something like that with, like a blast detonation area, et cetera, right? Like, and all the supporting infrastructure. I mean, look at just New Glenn 7x2. That took over 3 pads. Slick 36A, B, and LC-11. Just for all the infrastructure for that one pad for that big of a rocket. You want to build a rocket bigger than that, you're going to need way more infrastructure than that. I don't think there's enough real estate down there, to be honest with you. You know where there is enough real estate?
Where?
Mobile launcher.
Oh, God.
39B. Oh,
39B.
It all comes back to the mobile launcher, which is impressive considering how slow it moves.
Well, like that's the thing, you know. That's the thing. Like it's not that far fetched of an idea. I mean, there were people in Twitch chat and YouTube chat like, "Oh, build 39C." I mean, like I'm not going to disagree with you guys there, but okay, you're going to need to build a HIF for 9x4. That HIF needs to be bigger than the new Glen HIF at LC36, which is not a small building.
No.
Okay, that is not a small building. That's a gigantic building. You got to build one even bigger than that. Just like how SpaceX expanded the HIFs when they switched the horizontal integration facilities at 40 and ultimately 39 and Slick 4 East at Vandenberg, they like attached pieces to it. So unless they're doing something like that, right? And maybe launching 9x4 from LC36, which I don't know why. You got to build another transporter erector. That transporter erector for a rocket as big as 9x4 is going to be bigger than the N1 transporter that transported the Soviet N1 rocket and Buran Energia, right?
Yep.
Like it's going to be bigger than that. At what point do you just say, oh, I mean, it took NASA a 10-meter core for them to be like, maybe we should stack this vertically. It's probably a good idea. You know, like there's only so much real estate down there for that big of a rocket. And all I'm saying is that High Bay 1 is open. High Bay 1 is open, and you got another mobile launcher right there, and you have a pad that uses the same fuel, all right? Same fuel, right?
Almost.
And you have a mobile launch. What do you mean almost?
You're still missing one
you're
very
still missing
important fuel at 39B.
Yeah.
Oh no,
methane.
we can't add that.
I'm just saying.
They added it at 39A, remember? Because they had payloads going to the moon that needed methane load.
That's what I mean, dude. Like it's not that big of a deal to retrofit everything off the bat. I really think that it's a good idea. I don't know. Maybe I just want to see more vehicles rolling out of the VAB because, you know, you guys said like, oh, well, NASA's using 39B. Oh, yeah, because they're using it every week.
I mean, yeah, dude, I don't
technically.
disagree with you at all there, EJ. I would love to see New Glenn fly from pad, oh my God, 39B.
It's
like I would
perfect
love
for
to,
it, dude.
and seeing it roll out of a Mega Bay 1 or Mega Bay 1, High Bay 1.
There's a lot of acronyms
there's a
for
lot
us
of
to keep track
acronyms.
of, guys. Like
it would be awesome. And you know what? The pad already exists, and the modifications that they would have to do in the grand scheme of things might still be less, like a good amount less than building an entirely new launch complex. So on paper, it does make it makes a lot of sense, but it's up to NASA to see if they're up to or willing to be able to either extend the lease to Blue Origin to either fly in congruence or concurrence with SLS and its future variants, or just hand the pad over to Blue entirely, similar to what they did over at Pad A with SpaceX for Falcon 9 Heavy and eventually Starship. So makes a lot of sense, but in my mind, there's still a lot of land over at Pad 46 to modify and change into what they may or may not need for a 9x4 or larger variant of New Glenn or New Armstrong if it turns out to be. Also, Pad 46 is in a lot closer proximity to the port, which is where Jacqueline comes in for GS1 recoveries, which as far as we are aware, in terms of the renders with at least the 9x4, they still aim to continue doing. So it's a lot less distance to cover. Oh, what?
So if someone were to ask, where's Jacqueline? You could say, there it is.
Oh my
Where's
God.
Jacqueline? There it is.
Yeah. But that being said,
went
though,
there.
if they were to use Pad B at the Kennedy Space Center, it would always be in view of our cameras, and we'd have a front row seat to all the action.
Space Coast Live plug.
Build
Just saying.
a new launch site. Build a new launch site with it from scratch. Build it. Don't use if you're going to use 39B, don't use a mobile launcher. Make a TE. Do the route SpaceX did with 39A, a TE plus a HIF, and build it straight on the pad and do it that way. Don't use a mobile launcher. Use a mobile launcher for a rocket like that. I think is just stupid, and you don't really need a thing of the size of that. As Alex has literally pointed out in the back channel, you don't need a pad of that size. SpaceX is squeezing 2 pads into a smaller location at Starbase than that. Just build a new one just north of 36 and be done with it. That's all I'd say.
because SpaceX's and Blue's pads are very similar. Those companies operate exactly the same, right? Like, right? Like,
The
what?
tank farm architecture is basically the same, using horizontal tanks with pump systems and everything. And if Blue Origin wants to subcool it, the tank farm setup's going to be basically the exact same. Like, it's not really going to be that much different. The way you design a tank farm, you can only design it so many ways for a rocket. But
Wow, this is an interesting, fiery discussion here. I like
anyways,
this. But this is going to be interesting to see. And by the way, if anyone does end up getting the job, please DM me all your secrets. I want to know what's happening inside Blue. Just
Oh,
shoot
God.
me a DM on Discord. Come on.
Dangerous thing to say on air there, Sawyer.
I'm joking. Anyway, let me go back to the support. I know, EJ, you were working on that. When someone decided to segue, it's all right, early segues happen to everyone. Richard Brown saying Starship's like F-16. It can be pilot commanded, but can't be mechanically commanded. Terminology is important. The computers have to ultimately fly it. F-16 has no manual option either.
yeah.
I mean, it's all technically fly-by-wire. I think that's what they're trying to get at there.
Yeah.
But also,
fly-by-wire isn't an autopilot.
No, it's
But
not.
I never mentioned anything about mechanically controlling it. Like, it's not like you're gonna have an A-10 Thunderbolt where if all of a sudden your computers are dead, you can dead stick it with mechanical.
Yeah.
Almost no aircraft works that way these days.
There's going to be no actual physical connection between. Yeah, there's no actual physical connection between your controller or your stick or your or any whatever you are using to control your flaps or your elevators. There's no actual physical connection between your stick or your button and the actual thruster. It's all going to be through computers. So
2 words: Gimli glider. There you go. Look it up if you don't know. Salling saying the Apollo was driven by the space race with the USSR. Right now, China is nowhere close to going to the moon, but if they start getting close, the US will pump money into the program.
I think they're getting close, but
yeah. Salling also coming in with the super chat saying every LEM had an untested rocket engine. The LEM Ascent engine was fired for the first time on every moon mission on the moon. This was because the fuel was so corrosive. Also a good point. Rosebud saying, seriously, you can't dictate how he does it. I'm sure that probably made more sense a half hour ago. Oliver Remond saying, where is Space Pope? I miss him. Instead of him blessing the trench blesses Space Pope today. Bless this Space Pope. Roly Poly, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. Mr. Fluffy coming in saying, Blorian has employees familiar with Slick 41. Wonder who that could be.
Blorian.
Posting pictures on Jacqueline and out at facilities recently. No idea.
We did have an observation.
That was funny. And then T-Guns, no message, but thank you very much for the support. We appreciate it. Man. So, yeah. Of course, we're talking about everything going on there with Blue and comparing it to Starship, which I know, EJ, you've got your whole thing about, size of the launch pad versus, the vehicles and flight cadence and all of that. I know it's a lot, but there is one thing I think that we can all agree on. And that is that Starship merch from shop.nasaspaceflight.com is super comfy. Looks great to wear and looks good in your home, including the new TPS sun shirt. We were just talking about the heat shield with Orion before. Well, let's talk about the heat shield that you can wear on you. You getting cold out there? Well, then, I guess you wouldn't really get cold, but avoid protection. Get protection from the sun with these sun shirts. They're super nice and lightweight, so they're still breathable. You keep cool. And just like the heat shield tiles on the outside, they're meant to absorb the heat so that you stay nice and cool. Same thing with the spacecraft, same thing with you. I'm doing terrible with words right now, but I think you get what I'm saying. These are awesome. It's based off of real photos of actual heat shields, like you saw with the thermal protection pants. You've got the actual thermal protection sun shirts now. They're super light max. You wear them all the time out in the field.
I do, and that actually might be my photo. That's the basis for that merch, which is kind of cool. I think I actually have a TPS sun shirt en route. It should be here soon if it isn't already. So I'm eager to see how that looks. But it looks great on Caesar, and it's actually a really cool design, and also similar to like our mugs, the TPS design, but wearing it. Subtle. Hey, speak of the devil, there it is on the store. I know Lindsay wanted to talk about that before we went live, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. So you should definitely check that out. Shop.nasaspaceflight.com. If you want to stay super warm, you've got the nice cozy TPS pants. If you want to stay super cool, then you got the sun shirt. So either way, TPS has got your back and your front. And if you get the pants, also your behind. Anyway, I guess we should move on from photos of the heat shield to actually seeing, well, not so much the heat shield, but seeing V3 hardware out and about on the pad. Ryan, your turn.
Yeah, I mean there is tiles on Block 3 booster. They're just metallic tiles on the aft end of the booster. So I mean they're not exactly the right heat shield tiles, but they're still tiles. But anyways, yeah, booster 19 rolled out to pad 2 over this past week. Got lifted onto the pad, performed 2 tests, and it is currently back off the pad right now. We think it's for inspections because they put out more beach closures for testing, but I mean, when it took them a bit to lift it onto the pad. I will say one of the cool things about them installing it on the pad these days is we can see them opening up the hold down arms, which it is weird to see them open one after another and not all at the same time or close all at the same time. It's kind of it's cool to see that the hood's open. They got it installed. They hooked up the QDs. They did some pressure testing. When they finally released the sticks, the next day they also tested those beautiful new grid fins, which, especially with them out and about, we learned a few new things about them. The 2 opposite grid fins that have the catch points on them are basically identical, but the third fin is a little bit different. It's actually got like a slanted part inside it, which will help when it comes down to like reentry with the booster to help redirect the airflow. It's a really cool design. And then of course here you can see it didn't have all 33 engines. It only had 10. Along with a ton of testing hardware on the aft end of it, likely for when they eventually get to static fire testing. Plus, they did a spin prime, which we'll get to here shortly. But I gotta say, seeing those Raptor 3 engines on that booster for the first time, it wasn't all 33, and it looks a little bit cursed with only 10 of them on there. But boy, it still looks beautiful. We've been waiting for this moment for it feels like 2 years or something like that. Ever since they really announced Raptor 3, I think it was at least a year and a half ago at this point. We've been waiting for this day, and we finally got it. And not only that, this pad is 2 years in the making, almost. It's 22 months since they broke ground on it. So they started the pilings for the tower, and now we got a vehicle on it. And then they started the testing. And I got to say, and I know you all want to chime into this, but because some of you or all of us were on the streams for it, but seeing how quickly they filled that, I know Elisar made a post comparing the day loading versus Booster 16. It's hilarious how quick this thing loads with the number of pumps, subcooling capacity, as well as the size of the lines. It's just hilarious. I'll ask you all again how awesome it was to see it all,
dude.
Because
I'm still kind of like giddy over it. I'm not gonna lie, because when our cameras that were closer up and able to zoom in like on the actual frost line itself, we were seeing it rise in real time. Like there wasn't like, oh, I think it's gone up like 6 inches in the last 10 minutes. Like we were like, you could basically watch it rise in real time. That's how quickly that they're able to load propellant onto it right now. I think it's somewhere in the realm of 200 to 300 gallons per second from what we've measured, which is at minimum like 750 liters per second for those who use liters. Dude, it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
Jay makes a good point in the back. Remember we had to do the A/B test to see if they were loading. Now it's just now they do about a ring. It's like every like 80 seconds or so that they do a single ring of locks.
Yeah.
Methane should be in and around that quick as well. They have 4 pumps for methane plus like it's like 75% the subcooling capacity for the methane, maybe like 60%. So methane will still go really quick. It's just they did a little bit slower this time around because they're not loading as much. But you also have to remember they have to load up that entire transfer tube now, not
Yep.
just the tanks.
Yep.
So I can't wait to see a full stack wet dress rehearsal for this thing to see how quickly both, because like the ship back in the old pad 1 days, ship had like a 1 pump per prop and like 1 or 2 subcoolers per prop system. For locks, ship now has 4 pumps with about 6 times the subcooling capacity, and then it has 4 times the subcooling capacity on the methane side with 4 pumps. So they've like tripled to quadrupled what they can do for ship. So ship's just going to go like that. I mean, like a snap of a finger is going to be loaded. I am curious to see if they load booster first and then load ship. I'll be really curious to see what the new loading setup will be. But based off of this, they're going to be able to load the whole stack in 30 minutes. So they can basically go from chill down to a fully loaded rocket in 3 hours. And SLS takes what? I'm sorry, but
It's a multi-hour. It's a multi-hour ordeal.
Damn.
But I think it's worth noting that from both tests that we saw, it looked like they reached the amount of prop in both locks and methane tanks of what they're going to do for static fire tests. And from the time we first saw frost until the time where we saw the frost line harden to get to the point where they want to get 32 minutes for somewhere in the realm of 3,000 tons of propellant. Like,
it's bonkers.
That's ridiculous.
Like the amount of liquid flowing through those lines, like that flow rate is insane. I don't think there's a rocket in the history of that's ever flowed, that's ever filled that fast. Because I mean, maybe there's a rocket that has a slower fill time, but you're talking about filling a rocket this fast with this much propellant.
Yeah.
Like they're doing this faster than Falcon 9 with over 10 times the prop load mass.
I would love to see like what that flow rate looks like coming out of a pump, like somewhere like between 2 and 300 gallons per second. I want to see what that looks like coming out of a pump, like genuinely, like especially the one of that size. Like I want to see that. And like,
it's 5 separate pumps that are doing the liquid oxygen for it.
Still, okay. Then coming out of the LOX BQD. I want to see that.
We need a DOS video showing just how fast that actually is. Like he did.
Yes.
He's done a couple of those demonstration videos. We need that.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a good idea.
Quick, we need your
it's a great
help with
idea.
That. But and again, you're talking about how fast the fill is compared to Falcon 9. A reminder, we keep saying it, that the downcomer transfer tube is the size of a Falcon 9. And I was just joking in the back channel. That's going to have to be its name, the Falcon 9 size transfer tube, just like we say historic Launch Complex 39A or the famous 20-minute vent. That's going to have to be its new name officially now, the Falcon 9 size transfer tube. But
it's hilarious to think because just the size of Starship as a whole. So they can load a full stack in 30 minutes or give or take is how long it'll take them to load a whole stack or so is what it seems like. They'll load it in 30 minutes and then they'll burn all of that propellant in like 8. So within 38 minutes, they'll load nearly 6,000 metric tons of prop and then burn it all.
The fact that those numbers are even close to each other, Ryan, is ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that they're even like remotely near each other.
It's insanity.
Okay.
Like
that just blew my mind.
I want to see, and this is to Blue Origin too. If you want to get more performance out, I want to see you load 9X4. Maybe I don't know if you'll load it this fast, but I want to see you load it fast. Like, or truly, like if you want a subcool propellant, which it sounds like they want to do at some point, Yeah, just take you can just take things for pointers from SpaceX. And what's the ridiculous thing too, and I don't know if this is the final form of the tank farm. I don't think it is.
This isn't even my final form.
Beat me to it, EJ.
Because
I'm sorry.
LC39A has a different pump setup. Instead of using large single pumps, it's got a bunch of dual pump skids with smaller pumps, basically running running the pump system. And not only that, the subcoolers there. I'd have to go find those pictures again. I don't remember where they are, but the subcoolers for the LC39A are gigantic. Those things are massive.
Yeah.
I don't know if their countdown for Pad B is the quickest they'll ever get it. I think 39A, they may get the whole thing down to like 20 minutes for the booster.
By the way, this is how big the Falcon
Like, I
9
don't
size
know,
transfer
though.
tube is on your screen. Just
Like,
pointing it out.
It's going to be interesting to see to how quickly they can load at 39A and 37 as well. But I have this distinct feeling that eventually I think they found out how they can even upgrade the systems even more. And I'll be curious to see what Pad 1's tank farm looks like, because they should be building a separate pump setup and and subcooler setup for Pad 1 over at Starbase. I'm just curious to see how they do it and how quick it is. But the fact that they can get it this quick, I mean, the limitation is what? Thermodynamics? Because you're flowing so fast, you heat it up. But the thing is, if you use vacuum jacketed lines, in theory, you're fine. I don't really
you're not
know.
Gonna get perfect heat transfer even through a vacuum jacketed line, though.
No, but still, it's
still better.
I wonder.
Right?
I want to know what the limit is as to how quickly they could truly do this. I mean, you put enough pumps and enough subcooling capacity and large enough lines, you know. But either way, it's still nuts that they can do it this quick. And
Now,
I.
So
Yeah.
Ryan, real quick, all right, we got a little bit of time left here, right? Like, I'm just wondering, like, okay, so, you're talking about like theoretical maximums. See, where my mind is going is what's quick enough for Starship. You know what I mean? What do you think SpaceX is trying? How quick do you think they're trying to go? Right? Like, that's where my mind goes. Like, what's their stakeholder expectation for fueling, right?
Because,
right?
You have to think, okay, well, so far the first mounting on the pad and demounting with Booster 19, because it's currently off the pad at the moment, it's taken several hours, but I expect them to get that back down. It's the first time they're using new systems and everything like that. It always takes forever the first times. But you think about the launch cadence that SpaceX wants to do. All right. So you get a booster back, you put it back on the pad, and you roll a new ship out. If they can get their stack times down again, which they should be able to, because this launch pad doesn't have a foundation that was completely messed up because they didn't do a good enough foundation to begin with, which that was Pad 1. Like, I'll just say this: when they originally loaded the booster and ship on Pad 1, they shifted the whole pad and foundation. It sank slightly, and that's why stacking times took so long. It's because everything was out of alignment, and they had to adjust the sticks themselves in order to get it back into somewhat alignment. So that's not the case for this one. The foundation is incredibly well built on this one. But say you get your stack times down to 30 minutes. So you bring a booster back, you have a ship with a payload ready to go, you stack it, and if you already have the pad somewhat chilled down, which maybe not, if they had all vacuum jacketed lines everywhere, you could keep the pad in perpetual chill down. And you just have to kind of chill down some certain portions and then get into prop load. But say they have like just the pumps, subcoolers, and everything in chill down, and all you really need to do is do some of the stuff in the trench. Well, you put the booster on, you put the ship on, maybe you spend it 30 minutes to chill down, then you load it in 20 to 30 minutes, and you just launched a vehicle, say, I don't know, you launched it a little bit ago. So you launched it an hour ago, and you're getting another launch in another hour. That's what you would kind of have to do. You'd have to be able to stack and load instantly to launch
See-
within an hour.
See, where my mind's going is not an hour, it's 90 minutes. Do you know why?
Why?
Why? Why do you want 90 minutes? Oh,
90-minute orbital period in low Earth
Yeah.
orbit,
Oh.
right? So 30
Launch
minutes,
one,
I
bring it
think.
back.
There you go. 30 minutes, I think makes a ton of sense, dude. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
You launch a starship, Super Heavy comes back, they refuel it, they get it ready to go. That starship comes back down, it gets caught, or they load up another starship comes down, gets caught, and then they launch another one to like do once around Starlink deploys with it. That would, you know what? I like that timeline. We should do that.
The timeline is kind of insane.
Yeah, we should do that.
It also depends on, of course, that it depends on being able to get the heat shield that reusable and everything. That's a whole other ballgame. But in terms of actual pad readiness, they need to be able to have this thing chilled down and ready to go and ready to launch at a moment's notice. And
Dude,
it's the new pad. The new.
I did my plug already.
Wait.
There you go.
Everywhere I go, I see Starship. Dude, I was in a hardware store the other day and I saw, bathroom tiles that were hexagons, and I was like, I said out loud, I'm like, everywhere I go, I think of her.
I see her everywhere. I see her everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
But
I can fix her.
it opens up.
EJ diversion 2, I can fix her.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Anyway,
really,
Ryan,
I
keep
can't.
going.
But
Wait, what?
it opens up a lot of possibilities for the Starship program when you can load this fast. And again, I cannot wait to see them launch with this. I can't wait to see a wet dress rehearsal for the full stack. It's going to be awesome to see this pad operational along with 39A, 37's pads, and when they finish the new, the redesign at pad 1. I just can't wait to see all this stuff operational. It's been awesome seeing Booster 19 out on the pad. And as for the test that it did, I mean, first try right off the rip, I thought they were going to do a small tanking test. Nope, they basically did a static fire wet dress rehearsal without ever, with no spin prime right off the bat, right off the rip. They did the DSS deluge activation. And then the second time around, it's pretty much a spin prime. I don't really see what else it would be. It's pretty much a spin prime. One of the downsides with the new pad is there are zero indications on when they begin prop load, other than when the vents start going nuts and have a lot of pressure behind them. There's no indications on the surface structure. We do have some really nice T0 indications. There's a methane. Looks like there's a methane and liquid oxygen drain. And then looks like some vent purges out of the bunker, which is like right close to T0. There's a kind of expected there to be purges out of there close to T0 because, and I kind of expect once they load a lot more methane, they'll want to purge that system. And especially when they go to launch, you're going to want basically an LN2, or I should say a nitrogen atmosphere inside that service structure. So they'll purge the whole thing when they go to launch, which that might look really cool coming out of all the vents, but we'll have to wait and see when that happens. Here's the second test that they did, which I gotta say, no wind at all. Just seeing that frosty booster on that pad, it was nice to see.
Borderline like a waterfall with the way it was coming off the booster.
Also, that lighting, by the way, right beforehand, where it was just so orange and glow, it looked like Mars. That was...
It looked like either Mars or like Blade Runner 2049. Like, it basically...
Gorgeous.
It was beautiful.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
All these moments will be lost.
In time.
Like
tears. In a deluge.
No, wow.
There you go.
Also, they need to dim the lights inside the flame trench. I said the thing in the thing.
And the thing.
That lighting is so bright.
Or we just adjust the camera exposure to compensate.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But then we wouldn't get to see the frost.
I hope at this rate it could be Sunday. They have to put the booster back on the pad.
Yeah.
But there are closures. I think it's for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, even Wednesday. It's like 4 days in a row
Yep.
they got closures for.
Yep.
Sunday,
And
Monday
that's-
testing days, Tuesday, Wednesday testing. Anyway.
Yeah, that's basically going to be my guess is that's going to be a 10-engine static fire. And what I really hope they do is I hope they do it at max power, so full thrust, and they do it for like 20 seconds. They can do it at full thrust. They have over 3,000 metric tons of prop at max power. Those engines can't do anything to that.
So you think they're going right to all 10 engines? Like you don't think they're starting out at like 3 or 4, like they're going right to 10?
They might. I thought they would start with a smaller load of prop. They went straight to a static fire load.
That's true.
Then they did a spin prime. And I mean, we don't know how many engines it would have been, but it looks like they did a 10-engine spin prime. I mean, there's a possibility they only do 3 and then they do 10 the next day. There's always that possibility. But I say when they go to 10, I should say when and if they go to 10 here, or not if, but when they do it, I want it at max thrust and for like 20 seconds in that deluge.
God, wouldn't that be so
Let's do
freaking
it.
sick?
Mark the date, the 13th
deluge-
of March. Ryan Weber was positive and optimistic.
The deluge can take that without any problem whatsoever. It's made to tank a full pressure, full exhaust plume from 33.
But can the engines do that first time, or can the booster do that first time? Though that's the other question. Like I have no doubts about the deluge in the flame trenches. It's about them being able to light that many Raptor 3s on an unproven vehicle the first time. That's why I figured it would make more sense to do like 3 and then maybe work the way up to 10. But
maybe they'll do 3 and then 10, so 1 from each ring. They might do a center,
Right.
an inner ring, and an outer ring, and then they'll go all 10. And then if that data looks good, they'll roll it back, get all 33 installed, roll it back out, and then we get a full 33 engine static fire on that pad, which might be one of the coolest things we'll ever see in spaceflight for the first time.
Like
If
frothing.
the most power, that's going to look amazing.
I mean, I could think of one thing cooler, and that would be the rocket then lifting off after that. But
well, yeah, with a full stack.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, there has to make sure that Starship's up at the top. They tried that once.
Needs to be up there.
I know this isn't China, but I was just talking about something cooler than a 33 engine static fire is a 33 engine launch. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really cannot. This launch is going to be so cool to see.
Dude.
The booster looks nice. The booster has grown on me. The internals, I still don't like the way they did the landing tank. I think they could have done it differently, but what it is, whatever. You got a side tank.
Where would you put it?
As part of the transfer tube.
What do you mean part of the transfer? How are you going to put it? How are you going to put a tank inside of the transfer tube?
You just do.
You can just do things.
That's how
EJ.
engineering works.
Yes. Anyways, the otherwise the 3 grid friends has grown on me. The hot stage truss looks amazing.
It does. Very N1 like
it's
Soyuz-esque.
N1. It really is N1 at this rate. And the aft, I can't wait to see the aft with all of the different the full 33 set of engines with all the heat shielding finished. It's just going to look awesome. And then of course a ship on top. And I hope the ship has a fully completed heat shield because I don't want any more heat shield experiments. Please and thank you. This thing needs to work. No more experiments for now.
39 SN3 plus 3 VN plus that heat shield looked pretty complete to me, dude.
I mean, they were still missing. They were still missing a handful around like smaller areas, but it was like 99.9% done. And there
was a couple here and there, and then the gap seals weren't done yet. But they do those at the end usually.
But there weren't any like marked off areas where they would otherwise have tiles missing deliberately, like they have on version 2 for their own experiments. This heat shield is likely going to be complete all the way through. But yeah, I completely agree with you, Ryan. Like version 3 boosters, there were elements of it where I'm like, I'm not so sure. Like the design of 3 grid fins instead of 4. It looking just not symmetric was kind of bugging me a little bit. I was also at first worried about the actual structural integrity of catching on the grid fins themselves and that reuse over time. But Super Heavy has been almost a part of the entire Starship program, where they have proven it to be like a beast. Like Super Heavy boosters are a beast. At least they were with the version 2, and version 3 was built off of the lessons learned from version 1 and version 2. I'm most excited about seeing all 33 engines without any sort of shielding around them, and we have an unfiltered view of all 33 power heads right at the aft end of the thrust block of the booster. Like, I am frothing. Like, I am like I'm frothing at the visual of a tight in shot, not even in flight, just getting off the pad, maybe at tower clear, of a super punched in shot of all the engines, the mock diamond, the colors, and then maybe some frosty power heads with that.
I do want to say, because J Volt had a question earlier about this, of why are the engines at different heights and levels anyway?
It's the design of the aft. So the aft is not a dome anymore. It's a puck of steel. I forget how thick it is, but it's basically just a puck of steel at this point.
It's thick with 2 C's.
Yeah.
What?
And it kind of goes down into a cone. So there's a flat ring around the outside for the outer 20s, and then it kind of comes down in a cone, and then that's your inner ring of 10, and then it even comes more down into a cone into like a point, which is the center 3. So it kind of drops down a little bit. Now on the block 1 and 2 boosters, they had the outer 20 was a little bit higher up than the inner 13. But that was because the inner 13 had the gimbal mounts attached on the LOX inlet, and the outer 20 did not. So they dropped down slightly. But it's gonna. I can't wait to see the. It'll look weird because it'll be like stepping down a little bit as you go from the 20 to the 10 to the inner 3. But yeah, we'll get used to it.
But that design is also plays a part in dispersing the shockwaves made by the engine bells as it comes in back through the atmosphere, and that the shockwaves don't interfere or affect the outer ring of 20 like they did on version 2 boosters, because all, like most engines there, were completely level with each other, and the shockwave was in the engine section when it was still supersonic. So having this kind of conical design with the engine staggered the way they are will kind of mitigate the actual shockwave location and how it may or may not affect the engines long term. But yeah, it'll be a lot to get used to, especially compared to what we have become used to with version 2 boosters already. But dude, it's gonna look so good. I have no doubt. Like this, it's a really weird feeling seeing a rocket on like a render, or like it is in a render, or just like a sketch, and having like a mixed opinion about how it looks, and then seeing it in person, you're like, oh my god, that looks really good. And I had a similar feeling with SLS, and I have a sneaking suspicion that version 3 boosters, just given what we've seen already, is going to have a similar effect. Dude, it looks so good. It looks raw, is what it does.
It's raw. Gordon Ramsay would love it.
It's raw.
Anyway, let me thank some people here, because there's still a couple questions, and we're getting close to the start of This Week in Spaceflight, our weekly serious news show where Alicia will go over all of the major topics happening in spaceflight more in depth than we do. Austin with a $20 tip at tips.nasaspaceflight.com saying, bless the Space Pope trench. Hopefully Space Pope will return in Space Pope 2, the search for more Space Pope. Rosebud, the $10 super, saying, didn't we learn? VHS and Betamax. We need equal universal access.
Yeah, that's why, you can go down to the store and buy a Betamax player right now.
But you got to admit the quality was better. But anyway.
I do, yeah.
Remember HD DVD?
Yeah, that HD DVD quality was better, but Blu-ray has a better name.
Player.
I'm just saying.
Michael, getting a couple items from the shop, the shore, from New Jersey. Will HLS attach to the top of the booster just like a V3 Starship, or will there need to be a shroud/adapter of some kind to protect the landing legs as they get both an Artemis shirt and one of the SLS prints?
I think they'll mount the same way. I think
the exact same way.
Yeah, I think the landing legs will look similar to how we see not exactly obviously, but similar in philosophy to how we see Falcon 9 grid fins right now, the kind of the way they're folded in and kind of bulging out. Obviously, a much different overall design, and these are a lot smoother with the pods that they'll be sitting in. But it'll look just kind of like that with like 4 just bumps protruding on each corner of the vehicle. But otherwise, it should mount exactly the same.
It kind of has to. Otherwise, you have to have specific boosters for HLS.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do that. It'll attach with you the same 3 type of ship clamps that are on the hot stage ring that any other ship would attach to. It'll be the same, exact same. So.
What do you mean? Have a booster with the both NASA logos on it at the same time, and use that to keep flying crew.
God,
forever.
wouldn't that be sick? God.
I still want booster numbers on the booster. SpaceX. Dear Lord. Or
SpaceX.
or something. Put something on the boosters, because you haven't at all. It'd be nice to see it.
They have on ships
monstrosity.
They have on ships before. Like we've seen them before with either just the actual serial number, and also follow with like an image below it, like with ship ship 20 ship 30. That was flight 5, right? Ship 30.
Mm-hmm.
That was, so they had the actual name, and then also they had a sketched out Mechazilla below that, and then on flight 6 with ship 31, which was the last Block 1 ship, they had a banana meme painted below.
See, that's the one that I want. Yeah,
but
just
banana.
That.
Just more banana.
Just flight 6 bananas.
Yeah,
go through all the emojis. Each booster gets an emoji on it.
I mean, booster like Falcon 9 booster 1100 has the 100 emoji as its number, where the number otherwise would be. And we've seen Raptors with like memes painted on them, like Raptor 314 had a slice of pie painted on the nozzle.
Raptor 200 had pay 200 or go.
Yeah, for Monopoly.
Yep.
Did it really?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, because it was like the pass go, you collect $200, so the 200 Monopoly go.
I remember seeing that.
They put a lot of different memes on several different Raptors.
Yeah, 314 might be the most famous though.
Let's be honest, the real meme right now is the naming convention that Elon wants to use for this V3 SN1 block or whatever.
No,
that's the real
SpaceX
meme here.
Called it that.
I was just gonna say
that.
SpaceX
called it S39 and Boost 19. So
they called it that also after he posted that. So like it shipped 39.
So Elon is wrong.
No, he's just a meme anyway. And then Crafty Geek saying, with what can we estimate about the transfer tube and tank dimensions of Super Heavy? Do we think they loaded both LOX and fuel at the same speed?
Probably, but it just takes a lot longer.
Take probably just starting methane later.
It just takes a lot longer for the methane to get to the top because that has a lot more area to fill out with the transfer tube being a lot wider. That's why we saw frost so much later on the actual methane tank on top. But yeah, it's a lot more space to fill out before methane actually reaches the bottom of the actual tank structure itself. But yeah, probably at the same time.
God, the way you said that, it was like, can they static fire in the rain? It was the same exact cadence as Jack's. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's not the same flow rate because the LOX has more pumping capacity and subcooling capacity, so you can't do it at the same flow rate. But my guess is they try to time it to where they they'll start loading methane after or whatnot LOX, depending on just to line up the rates so that they both top off at around the same time, basically.
Anyway, there's all of the exciting things happening at Starbase. Don't forget, you can watch it all happening live, as you see right there. Space Coast Live Starbase Live, 24/7. Can you tell I live on the Space Coast and plug that the most?
It's been a long week for us, Sawyer. I'm telling you. It's been a long week for us, dude. We did a lot of tank watching this week, man. We're all screwed up, guys. Like,
and hopefully there's more coming out.
Yeah.
We got more.
But wait, there's more.
If you want more space news, This Week in Spaceflight is coming up just a couple of minutes away, and we will automatically redirect you over there from these streams. So don't go anywhere just yet, because I need to thank some people, especially our launch directors and flight engineers. They are the highest level of support that we have here at NSF, and they get their names at the end of all of the Flame Trenches and NSF Live episodes. We really appreciate all of you and all of those names on there. And of course, the people who joined me on air today, I gotta thank you for joining me, EJ.
Hey, thanks for having me. Guys, I know it's a privilege being on here, and I do appreciate coming on and trying to have some good conversations. So thank you very much. Thanks for having me. And yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Little spicy there. I'm so mad I got to miss the part about the OIG, because we actually did a thing over on your Twitch. In case you know, EJ's from Twitch. We actually talked about it the day it came out and went through it line by line and went, oh my god, these are the things we're going to have to talk about on the Flame Trench. So, you unplug your Twitch? No?
Yeah, I stream over there. Yeah, I stream over there. I guess I got to play KSP next week because Max called me out and I have to make an EOR lander rendezvous thing.
You're acting like that's a bad thing, bro. Oh no, I have to play Kerbal Space Program. Oh no.
Yeah, how would you know? You've never played it.
Oh, got him.
What are you talking about? It's not about me, it's about you.
Well, now I'm going to make it about you, Max. Thank you for joining us today.
Nice segue.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody, for having me on and for coming to hang out with us today. It was a lot to cover, and it got kind of spicy, but there's going to be a lot more to cover in the weeks to come, especially with Artemis coming along, and then also with Flight 12 getting closer. So more to come soon, and we will hopefully be back next week.
We like the spice, though. That's the whole point of the Flame Trenches. We get to be spicy here. We get to give our opinions and very much go off the rails so that twists, we fumble so that twists can run. Something like that. And then, Ryan Weber, thank you for joining as well.
Yeah, it's a pleasure as always. I can't wait to see Static Fire for Booster 19 this week. And as for the other booster, I'll just say they rolled the transfer tube for Booster 20 out today. So that's starting to make progress again. So, it's good news. But, let's hope we get a Static Fire here in the next couple of days.
Hopefully. Jay Keegan was the one pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, bringing all of the crazy graphics and things that we give for him to your eyes. You can see there, the countdown is on for twists. So with that, I have been Sawyer Rosenstein. Boy, who am I, Ryan? I am Sawyer Rosenstein. I've been your host for the Flame Trench. We will see you all on the next one. Trench out.
And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal? Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag,
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation. 343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers, fly!
Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.
And hello, we are back. New phone, who dis? What's going on? Here, let me I gotta get the YouTube stream fired up. So what we're gonna do for after hours, guys, and we planned on doing this last week, is so if you just enjoyed Flame Trench, we are going to play Battlefield 6 with Ryan, Max, and Sawyer. Yes. We're gonna play Battlefield with the Flame Trench crew. So I gotta get that fired up over on YouTube here. This will go great. This will be really fun. The other trench, yeah, the
Discovery, go at throttle up.
The trooper trench. Artillery pit. That's what we'll call it. Yep. The artillery pit. Cooking with Jack. Jack, we have to cook. Oh boy. Have you played the season 2 map, the Germany one? Dude, I haven't. The last time I played Battlefield was the last time I played it on stream. And Admiral, thank you for the 78-month resub. Flame Trench never ended. Instead of a flame trench, we're in an artillery trench. We're bomb cratered. Foxhole trench. You're gonna certainly have a reaction to it. All right. Let's change the title up here.
Oh, this is space. I'm in space.
What is